You are now listening to the Sae Bae Cast, the #1 old school RuneScape podcast featuring guests from all across Galanor. To support this podcast, visit the Patreon link in the description.
All right, welcome to the Sae Bae Cast, number 103 with Settled. Settled, how you doing this fine afternoon?
What is up, viewers? It feels good to be on, actually, because I actually, when I tweeted the questionnaire thing, or like your tweet about the podcast, it's been 3 years since I've just sat down and talked on a podcast about all things going on with I don't know, I've just changed so much in the last 3 years. It's cool to just be sitting down with someone and talking. So
I'm really excited. Okay, so let me ask about the podcast, because I think I've even watched a full one of your podcasts with Framed, and was it Jimmy? Was it you three?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the Slacking Off podcast, which we've definitely been doing that. When was that episode? Was that 2019? I think it was.
Holy crap.
Yeah, that just never continued because, it was also a viewership thing where it was affecting my other videos to be uploading that. And
I see.
It was getting a fifth of the views as a Swampletics episode at the time. And I just didn't want to continue it on my channel. And we were supposed to move it to a dedicated channel, but no one took the initiative to do that, so it just kind of died after 2 episodes. But
what inspired it? And was it kind of sad that you guys stopped it, or were you all kind of cool with just phasing it out?
I think we all wanted to keep it going, because what inspired it was we just wanted to talk together and put it out. And because we were in calls every single day, and it's still to this day, me, Jimmy, and Framed just call every single day pretty much. And we wanted to just, why don't we record this and put it on YouTube? But I don't think anyone was too bummed that it phased out, because we just kind of stopped having the time to edit it. And I don't know, I guess we could have hired someone. It just kind of got lost in the cards. But yeah, I don't know. I'm
always a fan of just people starting podcasts. I mean, mainly because I do my own podcast, so I see how fun it can be, and so people that just jump into it, I think is just the coolest thing ever. So I'm really sad that it kind of stopped. I want more OSRS podcasts. There are some that are springing up here and there. A lot of them spring up and then instantly just stop, because that's how most podcasts go. You do 3 episodes, and you're just okay, this is cool and all, but it's not really going anywhere.
Yeah, they really have a short lifeline, which is why I'm impressed that you have 103 episodes now. Because is your podcast the most episodes of any podcast in the RuneScape section? I feel like it is.
I'm not positive, mainly because when I searched on Spotify, so I've actually done some research on looking at all OSRS podcasts. I've gone on Spotify and any other podcasting platform, and I just look up OSRS or even RuneScape in general. Now, some that I've seen, I can't say I'm positive that I'm #1 where it comes to episodes, because there's some that just aren't numbered, but I will scroll through it, and there's probably 100 of some. I'm trying to even think of the names of them. I don't want to confuse them, so I won't list any, but I want to say I might be, but I can't be positive. So, yeah. No, it really is cool though, being over 100. Also, I just need to tell my audience right now, I deeply apologize for the mic quality. I am in an empty room with wooden floors, and so there's just gonna be a little bit of an echo, and I hope you guys just don't take it out on Settled. It's not his fault, it's his episode, but it's my fault. So
this was all my plan to have you echo in this episode.
I just got to get some blankets and just start draping them over everything. So
I don't think it's that bad. I think it's fine.
Cool. All right. So I want to take a big leap back in time where it all kind of started, at least the content creation. So not a huge step when you were born, but when the YouTube thing kind of started to come into place. So what were the early days of content creation for you?
2016. So This was a very weird time for me, actually. So I was moving a lot throughout this stage. Well, not a lot actually, twice, but we'll leave it at that. And I was in a new school, and I was just a neat, like all I wanted to do was like play RuneScape basically.
I like how
And
you're like, I'm in school, but I'm a neat. Like that's like
right,
the
right,
opposite. Yeah.
like what I mean
Yeah,
by
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
just, you come home from school and you just play RuneScape until it's time to go to bed, pretty much, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for as long as I can remember, I've wanted to be like a YouTuber. Like it was a dream for me. Every day, like coming home from school on the bus, like I'd be looking out the window and I'd be like daydreaming about like making videos and like, you know, having like a fan base and stuff. And at the time, actually, I wasn't sure like if I could quote unquote like make it in RuneScape because I play such a like obscure game mode. And for a long time, I thought that was a detriment at the time. I was like, there's like 100 people that know Ultimate Iron Man exists because I made my Ultimate Iron Man, my first one in 2015. And I'm like, who is going to watch this? Like, no one even knows this exists. And at the time, there really was like very few people that even knew that Ultimate Iron Man was a thing. Like, I remember so many reactions like, wait, you can't bank? Like, that was such a big deal back in 2015.
That is
So,
insane.
yeah, I made my channel and I at the time I can't stand my early videos. Oh my god.
Nobody can. No, nobody. Not your videos.
Oh
Nobody can stand their own videos. That's what I'm
yeah.
trying to say. Not yeah. No disrespect. I love your old videos. In fact, I've
Oh
checked out a few of
god.
them.
Oh no, dude. So in 2016 when I first made my channel, this was like the era of YouTube where you had like Leafy is here, iDubbbz, like Drama Alert, and as a 15-year-old kid, I was 15 when I made my channel.
Okay.
These were the channels that I consumed, and I was so like insecure and shy, and I didn't think that I could make it on YouTube by being myself. Like I was a positive kid, even though like I had a lot of like bad shit going on at the time.
Mm.
And I was just like I was generally really happy, but I like consumed all this content on YouTube that like showed me like Leafy is here, like you know can I like say shit and stuff? Are you fine with
Yeah,
that?
you're
Like,
totally
okay.
just don't say the C word. That's the one that we just can't have anymore. I've tested the waters. It's not good. So
Okay, okay,
everything else is fine.
okay. So, um, basically, I would see, like Leafy and like Pyro back in 2016, like these people that I consumed, which, God, what a weird era. But I saw that like they got popular by like shit talking people and being negative. Like that's the type of content I consumed, and I'm like,
Uh,
well, to be successful, you have to be negative. You have to say curse words and like hate your life the whole time while you're making videos. And their personality became my personality at the start because I just like I didn't know how to be myself in a video and I didn't think that would ever work.
mm-hmm.
I didn't think I could be positive and it would actually do anything. So my early videos are a lot of that, which it's like such a stark contrast to like the Swampletics era where
Yeah.
I'm like so happy to be playing the game because I generally was like that is the most fun I've ever had because I was experiencing like so much like that's where the whole dopamine thing came from because it was actually such like an incredible time where my channel was like exploding. I was having so much fun playing the game in this weird way and like every like little drop and upgrade meant so much to me and that was like the complete opposite of the spectrum to where I started in 2016 and I'm like wait, people are actually like enjoying me being positive about these things and I like grew out of that whole like phase of like I don't actually have to hate everything I'm doing and now I can't stand watching people who hate what they're doing like I will never click on a video like that.
That makes me so happy that like you were able to have that experience. And I can kind of relate with what you're saying. I feel like there was a phase as well with Twitch where like you had to rage over things to be funny and to get like obviously that wasn't the case, but when you're starting out content creation, like you said, you kind of lean on certain creators that you watch.
Yeah.
And when you see something being successful, you just kind of take it just like, oh, okay, I have to do like rage stuff and get pissed off at things, even though you're not, but you have to do it for the content. And
Right. Yeah.
so I sort of feel that in a way. But yeah, I've kind of learned myself over the years, just like you could just be yourself. Like people will. It really just shows if you're enjoying what you're doing and you're making good content. Like that's all it really takes. So I think that's awesome that you were able to find that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad to be current me and not past me. But past me was necessary to get here, right? So
Yeah.
but yeah, you're right. It's like there was an era where like the louder you screamed or hated something, like the more popular you got, right?
Yeah.
Which, geez, what a primitive era of content creation.
yeah.
But
So
yeah,
yeah, go for it.
I was just gonna say like, my favorite thing, and I think the greatest markers of success is when someone is actually really enjoying what they're doing, and obviously there's so many factors to success, but I think the number one thing is if you're gonna become a content creator, please be passionate and don't be jaded about the game you play, because this is such like an awesome. I'm not saying someone should ever go into content to make this a job, but this is like such an awesome job, and I literally don't know what the hell else I'd be doing. But like just doing this is so special, and if you're not passionate, like why even bother? Like if you're jaded and you don't think that the game you play is awesome, then I feel like you just shouldn't be a content creator. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean those are. It's true in a way. I mean, what sucks is that, you know, for a lot of content creators, I feel like a lot of us, and I'm just kind of including like us as content creators, like YouTubers and Twitch streamers alike, it feels like we kind of just jumped into this just hoping and praying that things would kind of work out. At least a lot of us. Some of us just did it as like hobbies, but it gets to a point where like, holy crap, like this is actually going somewhere, and now this is my job. Like I can, you know, make a living off of this. And then you have to start like, I don't know, at least for me, I had to start understanding, okay, I am in such a privileged position to be playing this game. Like I can't be like, what's the word? Just upset or anything that I'm playing a video game, even if I'm getting bored of the video game, or even if I'm having like a struggle. Just like I just got to look at the overall picture and just be like, holy crap, like this is the most amazing thing ever, just to be able to play RuneScape and, you know, do it for my living. So
yeah, it's like it's actually revolutionary, and I don't understand how anyone could, you know, be negative about something like that. And even though I used to be like, well, not about the career, but like in my videos, I don't know. But yeah, it's just I could go on and on about like how grateful I am for what I do, because I literally think I would be lost. Like I would be completely lost without what I do right now.
I think no matter what, you would have found your way, I think. But yeah, who knows? Because, you know, what would life have looked like if other things didn't happen? I'm curious, because you started so young, how was that? I mean, obviously you don't know anything different, but starting at 15,
yeah,
like I started content creation at 23, and I still felt pretty young at that time because I still had like different views on like how things were supposed to work out. So I can't even imagine being 8 years younger than that and having started. So how was that?
Yeah, I'm 22 now.
Okay.
So when I was 15, I definitely wanted it to become my job. Like I said, I was dreaming about this, but originally, like my goal was just to like start like I wanted to kind of obtain like this small Ultimate Iron Man community. And honestly, when I got my like first paycheck from YouTube, it was like mind blowing to me. Like it was insane that I was like getting paid, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember just being like, I really thought that I was gonna cap out basically because I was playing Ultimate Iron Man mode. It's something that I talked with UIM Link about. He was like my like best friend content creator at the time. We were like constantly neck and neck with like subscribers. We were like 5, 6, 7,000 subscribers, and we were like the biggest Ultimate Iron Man channels out at the time. And we'd have conversations like, when do you think we're gonna like cap out? You know, like there's only so many people interested in this game mode. And we he stopped making videos around like 15,000 subscribers, like after he maxed. And around 2018 is when I dropped out of college to pursue this full time. And at the time, like I was making more than I could at like McDonald's or something, and I was still living at home. And to this day, I have not worked a quote unquote real job because I was so young when I started and I was making more than a minimum wage job would make me. So I just never saw the point. And part of me does wish that I worked a real job just so I'd have like the perspective. Like I'm obviously still extremely grateful for everything, and I like think about that every day. But I always tell my mom this, like, maybe I should like go get a job at McDonald's for a month just so I like have the perspective. And she's like, as someone who, you know, like we came from like utter poverty in Poland, and she has worked so many like horrible jobs. She's like, no, sweetie, like don't ever, like you're so much better off never having experienced that. And yeah, I don't know. It's it was definitely an odd thing to start like making this into a career at so young.
Yeah,
but
just skipping that whole phase of life. Trust me.
Yeah.
Working dead end jobs is not great for anything, like your mental health, just anything. So.
Yeah, it doesn't sound fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I dropped out of college, and at the time I had no idea what I was gonna study. I had like I wanted to go into film, but then I thought like, am I really gonna like make my way up in the film world? Like I'm gonna be like giving people coffee for like 4 years before they like take a chance on me to like do anything at all. And I just didn't really see like a path for myself through college. I took some film courses, and you know, I was in college for a semester before I dropped out. So it wasn't like a big part of my life. But I did take away some things that helped me with YouTube, at least. But I feel like most of the things I know now about making videos, I just know from like experience and just like, I don't know, figuring it out. Like
just flooding yourself with YouTube content. I mean, I'm just assuming just being on there, doing it for years and years has just got to be the best way to do it.
Oh, dude, absolutely. And I think there's this huge misconception that to be successful, you need to be some kind of genius, because you really don't. The most successful people, if you think about Mr. Beast, if you think about anyone, they are just normal people who are insanely obsessed with what they do.
Yep.
And that is exactly me as well. Like, I didn't have some kind of like, you know, knowledge or anything. I just obsessed about this every single day for like years and years and years and years. And that's like how you become successful, is just obsess over what you want to do.
Yep. It's totally true. I mean, you hear about it with like I mean, I sort of had my little chess phase last year where I was just consuming a lot of chess content. Yeah. And that's exactly what every chess player, like you have to be absolutely obsessed with chess in order to get anywhere with it. If you were just a genius, but you were just all right with the game, like, no, that's not going to work. You have to literally dedicate everything about yourself to it to really succeed. So,
yeah. And so I've listened to a lot of Mr. Beast podcasts as well. I personally actually don't watch his videos because I know I'm not the target audience of those videos. Mr. Beast videos are crafted for the algorithm and for like, you know, retention from a much different target audience than me.
Mm-hmm.
Literally just like kids with like low attention spans that need to be, spammed. Like I think his videos are like the video version of a list of bullet points. It's like, we just slammed a train into a wall. Now we're going to throw $1 million over the bridge. Now we're going to do this. And it's like so crazy well optimized for the algorithms. But I've listened to a lot of podcasts because I think he is the king of like obsessing over YouTube. And I have learned a lot from like his ideologies on things. And he had this talk with Colin and Samir, and he was basically like, I learned the most when I was like just waking up 12 hours a day, speaking to other like YouTubers and content creators for like 12 hours a day, every single day, wake up, speak, go to sleep for like 2 years. And whenever someone would mess up, like we'd learn from their mistakes. We were learning much faster. Like all these people were learning things and we'd all learn from them. So we'd figure things out like way faster, like how things work. And for the last like 2 or 3 years, I think I've gotten so much better as a content creator because I've talked to so many content creators and learned from them. And like, Soup, Framed, Jimmy, like these are people who I talk to on like almost a daily basis. And we all teach each other things and talk about YouTube and analytics and thumbnails and titles, and we're all making mistakes, but we're all learning from those mistakes, and we're learning, 100 times faster than we would alone. And that has definitely made me into a much better content creator.
That's so cool. When did that shift happen? I mean, because most people, when they start YouTube, they just are kind of hoping that something kind of sticks. But
Right.
I feel like everybody, at least that grows into a 100K plus YouTube channel, has had that transition of, okay, I want to take this seriously. I want to start focusing on what I can do better, and instead of it just being like, let me just throw a video together. So when do you think that happened? Around like what sub count, or did it just happen at the very beginning for you?
I think it started happening sort of like toward the end of my maxing grind, where it was definitely like influenced by having a larger audience and suddenly feeling this need to entertain more and more people. Like, okay, what got me here won't get me to 100K or 200K or 300K. And I think I started. Okay, let me rephrase. I've always been obsessed with making my content better. I'm like an extremely toxic perfectionist to myself, in the worst way possible. Like it's sometimes very debilitating. But I think definitely when Swampletics came around and there was so much like community support for it, like when it was like I would post the video to Reddit and it would get like 7,000, 8,000 upvotes like every time, and like everyone was discussing like what I did that week. At that point, like my brain kicked into high gear and I'm like, oh my God, there's like so many people to please right now. And that's when I like really sent myself down the rabbit hole of like, okay, I need to get way better at this and I need to do it fast.
Holy.
And that's when I really went down that like storytelling route, which I've always wanted to like tell stories and stuff. I feel like I've always attached meaning to just about everything in my life, and that has helped me a lot as a content creator. I feel like, getting an adamant scimitar so that you can do, the haunted mine boss fight. Like it's kind of going back to, like being jaded. Like I feel like a lot of people, if they got, like an adamant scimitar, they would, just call that like a 5-second clip and then like go kill the boss. I wanted everything to be a story and to mean something, and for people to kind of like have this character to root for. So I like split Swampletics like away from myself, sort of like I made it its own character to root for. Because sorry, I am like ranting so bad right now.
I'm absolutely loving this, dude. Keep going. I'm loving it.
Okay, so a story is only as good as its conflict. And conflict is derived from the character and the choices that character is faced with. And the best stories are stories that are made by characters making hard choices. And I think the reason Swampletics touched so many people was because I went out of my way to separate myself from the character. And I think just having this like separate sort of entity to root for, like so many people didn't even know my name was settled during that series. They would just call me Swampletics, you know, like I wanted this story to mean something. And, you know, Swampletics had so much conflict throughout. There was so many obstacles and setbacks. I mean, I wiped the account twice, you know, like there was so much conflict to overcome. You never know if the goal is possible or not because it shifts throughout the series. And ultimately, with that second wipe, I completed the entire hero's journey arc like unintentionally, and it's kind of like I don't think I could recreate that story if I tried because it was so much circumstance that created Swampletics into what it was. I don't even remember what the question was that we were discussing, but I just like went down this rabbit hole.
No, I mean, that is literally, you are just a different content creator. When I think about OSRS content creators, like I feel like people have started because of you, because of Swampletics especially, have started to realize there's more to YouTube than just making like a progress series or just making, you know, a PK montage or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like you were the originator of storytelling with OSRS, at least the one that really popped off. There could have been other ones, but yeah, I can't remember the question either. But storytelling, yeah. I mean, that truly is what kind of grabbed hold of like the community. And so all those Reddit posts and every time you would upload, it just was this new hit that just excited the entire community. So with that, do you think that was the missing like ingredient to just having any YouTuber pop off, was just creating good storytelling?
I think if someone, because like we were talking about Mr. Beast, where he optimizes for retention. There is no story in those videos. Like I said, it's a video version of a list of bullet points. It's not intended to be a story because it's intended to make you watch as long as possible and hopefully get to the end of the video. It's not meant to get you invested. I don't know. Do you watch like Mr. Beast videos at all?
Yeah, and in fact, I've actually seen the interview he did with Lex Friedman and with Joe Rogan. So I know what you're talking about when he was talking about just being obsessed for years and just talking nonstop about it. So yeah.
Sorry. During a lot of his challenges, like he did a lot of those videos where it was like 4 people competing for $1 million. It's in those videos, I never felt like I was actually rooting for anyone. There was no backstory to any of these people. It was just like, it was kind of about the money and like winning someone just winning the prize and like being wowed by the factor that it's $1 million. But you don't actually root for any of the people in those videos. Like there's no emotional investment for any of that.
Yeah, that's true. So, but that works because they're appealing to what? Just a young audience that just needs.
Yes.
Is that it? Yeah. Is that all it is? So if it was an older audience, do you think it would just be like they'd have to focus more on the background of the person?
So in my opinion, I think if you go out of your way to not optimize for retention and instead just tell good stories, you will be successful. And especially in RuneScape, where like 70% of my audience is ages 25 to 34, I could never do what Mr. Beast does, ever. It would never work. But if you just go out of your way to make a compelling story with a character that you can get invested in, and there is conflict and problems to solve, you will be successful if you know how to market that content, because obviously the story and the content is only half of the puzzle. And funny enough, all of that being half of the puzzle, the other half of the puzzle is just your title and thumbnail. It is alone half of the entire video. Because realistically, if you think about it, right, if I'm scrolling through videos, the only thing I have to tell if I want to watch your video or not is a title and thumbnail. That is all that I have to go off of. I have no other information. I don't know if the videos. It could be the best video in the world, but I wouldn't know unless it has a title and thumbnail that I want to click on, and that's half of it. The rest is your storytelling, your presentation, your execution, your conflict character, etc.
So let's just jump into it then. Thumbnails, that has been like its own evolutionary journey in the past several years of OSRS content. I'm just speaking about, I mean, obviously all of YouTube has gone through its own evolution, but yeah, wow. So you're really claiming, I mean, obviously it could be a little bit different, but you're saying pretty much half of what really needs to be impacted or needs to be, I guess, perfected in a way is the title and thumbnail. What do you think is more important though, the thumbnail or the title? Is there any difference, or are they just pretty much evenly split?
They are extremely complementary, I'd say.
Okay.
I'd say if I like had to objectively pick, I think it would be the thumbnail. But it's so tough because if you have a good thumbnail, but your title's bad, like, I don't know, no one's gonna click anyway. So
and you could have such a horrible thumbnail compared to a title. Like a title, there's only like so far you can go. That's just crappy.
You're right.
But thumbnails are just.
You know what? I think you've actually changed my mind with that sentence, because realistically, if you have a black screen as a thumbnail, but your title is very intriguing, I could see myself clicking on it. But other way around, I don't know if I could see myself clicking on it.
That's true.
So,
yeah.
Objectively, I'd have to say title.
Okay. Well, what do you think about the evolution of thumbnails, at least? Or I guess titles as well. To be honest, I don't really focus on the titles. I think I'm definitely more driven toward looking at thumbnails.
Yeah, totally.
But you're right where they kind of complement each other if they're done well. So yeah,
I'd say there has been a massive evolution. In my mind, there have been tons of phases for RuneScape YouTube in particular. I don't know if you want me to talk like more. Actually, I don't think I have the experience to speak more generally on YouTube, but for RuneScape, I actually have an idea.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So I think, so in my mind, titles and thumbnails back in 2016, no one knew what they were doing at all. And it was more so like you just kind of titled and thumbnailed your video with like what happens in that video. And I think the most common thumbnail I remember from that era, like 2016 to 2018, is an inventory with 6 items in it. Like two items, like 2x3. That was the most popular thumbnail for like 2 years. And I can tell you what era we're in right now. At least the thumbnails I see, oh my god, like on every RuneScape video. One, either Blender,
Blender
of
phase.
Like, Blender of like whatever is going on, which I have my own opinions about Blender thumbnails. I'm actually not like a fan. And the other one is like the Grand Exchange screen. Have you seen those? Like an item that has just been purchased.
Yep.
Yeah,
I see that is like on RS Chronicles. I think that's the one I just instantly kind of look at, or just any like PK, like framed. Is that the one we're talking about where we're just seeing an item was just purchased or something like that? Just some sort of interface where you're buying or selling an item.
Yeah, I think you're right with RS Chronicles, because I'm looking at it right now, and I feel like they were the first to popularize that thumbnail, and it just looked so clean that like everyone started using it.
Yeah, that must be it.
Here, I'm actually gonna link what I'm talking about.
Do it.
Like this.
I'll pull it up. Oh, yep.
Those thumbnails and Blender thumbnails are like kind of the current phase we're in. I never use those thumbnails, but they're the thumbnails that I see the most often. Yeah. Which Blender thumbnails, in my opinion, controversial take maybe. I don't like Blender thumbnails at all. There are ways to do it right.
So what about when they first started appearing? Because I will say they're completely oversaturated at this point. Which
they are all over the place now. But the reason why I think this is because now they are exceptionally bad because it's so oversaturated. I will say that. But in my mind, it's just this feeling of unrelatability because we're playing such a nostalgic game that is so iconic. Like when you see RuneScape and you see those graphics in a thumbnail, you know what you're clicking on, and you have that nostalgia factor, you have the relatability factor, you have like you see this thing and you recognize what it is. But when you turn this into Blender, it's like you're going 37 years into the future, and I no longer know what I'm clicking on just from like a subconscious standpoint. Like you're turning, this Java-based clicking simulator game into something a little too real, and it loses its relatability to me unless it's done very right. It can be done subtly. I think I've used Blender for one thumbnail, and it was partially this. No, actually, I've only done elements of Blender in a thumbnail. I've never done a full Blender thumbnail, not even
Okay.
once.
Was your character blenderized or just?
No, so that's actually shout out 8sat, literally the goat of thumbnails. He does all of them in Photoshop, pretty much. It's nothing like Blender. He can import elements from Blender rarely for me, but it's mainly Photoshop, and I just feel like it's just the way to go in my opinion, because it's the relatability for me. Every thumbnail needs to be recognizable to the game that you're playing, and Blender just doesn't do it for me personally. I know people have some success with Blender. This is obviously just my opinion, but yeah.
No, I think you're totally right as well. I mean, if you were to show me two thumbnails of the same video, same title, but one was blendered and one was like the old school look of the game. And again, it's all like opinion at the end of the day, but I totally agree with you about this psychological of just the relatability, the nostalgia, the everything that goes in with the traditional graphics rather than just pimping it out and making it super crazy, like saturated, super contrast Blender. Like, I totally agree with you. So, what phase are we currently in the Blender phase? What were there certain generations of thumbnails that you can kind of list, or would it be too difficult to kind of name the eras? Like, what era are we in right now, or are we going into a new era, or is that just the bank interfaces and the Blender?
I think we are currently in the bank interface era with a shade of Blender, because I do still see Blender thumbnails a lot, but who knows where the next like push will be. I've always kind of had my own style with it. I feel like I don't usually follow trend, although I was a part of the 2x3 inventory era back when I was maxing my ultimate. In fact, like let me just screenshot this. Like 4 out of 6 of those thumbnails from 4 years ago are the inventory slot. And those videos did extremely well for me at the time. They were, my like most viewed videos. And now I haven't followed any kind of like thumbnail trend since I started Swampletics. I just kind of like did my own thing, and I feel like I feel like for me, titles and thumbnails are. I don't actually know where I'm going with this thought. I like had a thought and then it just completely drifted off into space.
All right. Well, here, let's kind of move on, because I'm looking at some topics on Twitter, and
Yeah,
there is quite a few of them. So I want to pull out one. This is from Caveman Only. So he asks, with the insane growth you've had as a creator in the last 3 to 4 years, you're now inarguably the most prominent face of the OSRS community in the modern era. How has that changed the way you approach and market your content, and how has it impacted your life more generally?
Very good question. Also, shout out Caveman OG.
Big shout out. Yep.
Yeah, big shout out to the guy. Hope you're doing well. So the way I approach my content has dramatically shifted. I mean, a lot of things about how I make my videos in particular has gotten dramatically different, and I guess that stems from a few different things. Firstly, the goals I've set myself, and also just the crazy, mind-boggling shift in my audience over the last years. I went from maxing my Ultimate Iron Man, where I was strictly talking to an audience that knew a lot about the game and my goals, the things I was doing, how they work, to slowly, as Swampletics started getting popular, and suddenly I had episodes getting, like up to upwards of like 500,000 views. It was sort of like this realization that, wow, a lot of these people don't play the game and they're somehow here. So it was that realization that began the sudden, like, I don't know if I'd call it an overhaul, but I put so much thought into the simplest clips nowadays. I structure everything seeking this balance between experienced player and someone completely new, because I get tons of comments and DMs from people who have no idea what the game is. They've never even heard of it before. And I firmly believe that upward of 30% of my audience right now, maybe closer to 40%, barely play the game, barely know what it is, or have literally never played it.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely insane. Like the first 7 Talman episodes together have like 10 million views. So
Jesus.
you have this massive wave of people who have no idea what the hell is going on, but I also have an equally large half that know what's going on. So for me, my target audience, I'm like always battling in my videos to present content equally to these two audiences. I've come up with a lot of ways to strike this balance. I believe I've become very good at it these days. Just off the top of my head, I'll give you an example. These are the details that no one even knows how much I spend like time thinking about. So you could hear a clip of me commentating a rune axe drop from a tree spirit. And beforehand, I have already decided whether or not I'm going to abbreviate the phrase high alchemy. That spell could mean nothing to 200,000 people. And so they don't know what it does, right? Like, what the hell is high alchemy to these people? They just clicked on this video. They have no idea what the game is. So instead of saying the word high alchemy, which will feel weird to experienced players, like if I talk about the spell and explain what it is, like those people will feel that's kind of condescending to their knowledge. Yeah. Like they know what the spell is. Like, come on. So instead, I will commentate it. All right, I'm going to turn this rune axe into 7,000 coins with a little magic, I think. And that way, I've explained what the spell does entirely with subtext, while also not coming across as condescending to my experienced players. It's all like a metagame for me. Like, the stuff that has to be so particular because the only audience I can expand to now is people who have never heard of RuneScape, and currently 66% of my viewership is subscribers only, which is an insane amount. That means like there is a finite, well, I wouldn't say finite, but there is a small audience that I need to work very hard to break into, and the only way I can do that is by explaining what I'm doing so that they can understand, but I also have to retain the people that I've got. So It's a constant meta battle.
So have you been doing this all on your own, or have you been taking advice from other people? Because, I mean, you have just absolutely skyrocketed subscriber count wise. So I feel like you haven't even had anybody to really lean on with help with this kind of stuff. But
no, it's definitely all just been me. Like I seek advice from like my friends just to like I'll play them a clip and I'm like, do you think a normal person would understand this? And
normal person,
like
somebody that's not on their computer 18 hours a day.
Yeah, exactly. So I seek like confirmation and understanding from my friends, and I will have people like, give me a second eye on a thumbnail or a title, but you also don't want to seek too much advice, because the more perspectives you get, the more it kind of gets lost in the sauce, I feel like, and you start doubting every small element, and it can become very counterproductive to get too much advice. But it's been something that I've figured out myself, that like whole meta game balancing thing, where it's now very tough for me to make what seems like a simple video because I'm always thinking about like, like, will people understand this clip or should I like recreate this? And it's like something so simple. It's like me talking about like blast furnace or something like simple to me, right? I've played the game for 20,000 hours, but simple clips that I wouldn't even like blink, like 4 years ago. I spend so much time thinking about it. It actually like has extended my video process by like 5x just because I'm thinking about every single clip and how it will impact a viewer who doesn't play the game and how it'll impact a viewer who has experienced the game. And it does seem simple on the surface, but I spend a disgusting amount of time like thinking about how every sentence impacts these two different audiences.
So here's the question. Is it still enjoyable for you? I mean, you were saying like Swampletics was just like the time of your life. I mean, just everything was booming. Does the video making process become exhausting, or are you still in love with it?
So I will say for editing Tileman videos, I became a little burnt out like 2 months ago because I gotta say, like, I didn't find my like love of film by thinking about this like metagame stuff and like how I'm presenting simple information. I fell in love with it because I wanted to tell a story and make characters that people love, and I think I refound, like, I kind of reignited the spark in myself with the escape room content and the one slot account. Like, I took on too much work recently with that stuff because I felt like I needed to reinvigorate myself. I love playing Tileman. It's actually not an account I'm remotely bored of. But for like the videos for Tileman, I'd much rather be playing than making those videos because it's very like it has a little too much of the things that I don't enjoy as much as telling a story. Where the escape room videos, like, I just sat down and I just had so much fun editing those videos. Like, it was a fantastic like return to form for me from editing like the Swampletics finale, where like I put my heart and soul and blood, sweat, and tears into that video, and it was a good return to form. But like Tileman is sort of, I mean, the entire series was crafted for me to chill out because I was playing the game literally since 2015 to like end of 2021 when the series ended. I probably averaged like 11 hours a day on the game for 6 years straight, and God knows how many hours editing. And I was so burnt. Like, I finished the Swampletics finale, and then I took like a 5-day break, and then I started that speedrunning series, and then I went into leagues. And I remember feeling like during leagues, I was like dying inside. Like, I was like, I need a break so bad. And I took like a 3-week break, and then I came back with Tileman, and I told myself, all right, here's what's gonna be funny. I told myself, I'm gonna start this mini series, and I'm gonna go for a fire cape, and then I'm gonna end this. And Tileman ended up going mega viral. The first episode got like 2 million views in like 2 months, and I'm like, God damn it! Like, I like, obviously amazing. Like, I'm so happy because it like doubled my channel size and everything. But I'm like, damn, I was gonna chill with this. Like, this was supposed to be my chill pill. Yep. I was supposed to play like 4 or 5 hours a day, enjoy all my time on the game, make like, like cutesy little videos, right? But no, it turned into something completely different than what I expected, and I mean, I'm happy with it still. I'm thrilled.
But it's not the break you were hoping to get. Damn. Yeah, it's bigger than Swampletics. I mean, right?
At this point, I think you could say it is. But I think from an impact standpoint, Swampletics, like from a story perspective and how like invested people were into that series, it doesn't. I don't think it comes close.
I think time as well would dictate that, because I mean, McTile is so young.
Yeah, I've yet to, like, once I make a finale for that series, it'll be fair to compare apples to apples.
Yeah.
But until then, it's really a non-comparison. It's just a series that is currently extremely popular, and every episode will get like 600 700k views at the least nowadays, which is like wild that's like my baseline these days.
That is insane.
And yeah, it's crazy. It is so crazy. And to think that you log on to RuneScape, you like go to runescape.com and you see like 80,000 like players online, and these videos can get like close to 1 million views each time. It goes to show, right? It goes to show how many people don't play the game that watch.
Yep. Okay, so kind of going off of, I have 2 questions. One of them is going to be talking about the escape room stuff, because right before this, like the actual recording, you were talking about how some people claim it's fake. So we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
I'll probably lose my train of thought and I'll forget that we're supposed to be talking about that. But there is another thing I wanted to ask regarding Caveman's question, which is like, and I know we already kind of brought it up, just how you make your videos with the assumption, I mean, you just got so many people that haven't even heard of the game that are watching it. But how has like the marketing and advertisement kind of thing evolved as you've grown like massively? I mean, I just wonder when it comes to like sponsorships and stuff, did you get worried initially, like taking certain sponsorships that are like, how did you go about that, making it like phase nicely in the video, and then also just marketing in general of just getting your content out there further?
Right. So yeah, that was a good point actually, because sorry, one sec. During Swampletics, I technically took one sponsor, and it was the display poster for the movie. That was the only sponsor I took for the entire series over the course of 3 years.
Wow.
And I did that for a reason. This has never been about the money for me. And throughout Swampletics, it literally like all I cared about was I wanted people to watch this series and just have like a great time and just binge it and like be happy. And I wanted to maximize the entertainment they got by, like I don't want to make you watch like ads and stuff. And I knew that after I finished that series, I was hoping to craft a good enough reputation to where whatever I do next, I can kind of just be chill and start taking sponsors, because ultimately I do have like financial goals. Like pretty much every like sponsor you see on my channel, I am like working toward a goal to like I want to make sure my parents can retire. Like that is ultimately my number one like thing, because we're immigrants from Poland who got lucky on a green card lottery and were able to come here, and my parents came here absolutely dirt broke, and the only reason I have any of the stuff I have or the opportunities I have is because of them. So that's what I'm like working toward. And I figured like, okay, I'm gonna have to take sponsors on this series, and I do want to make sure that it's flush with like the viewer experience, which sometimes it's not possible to do with like what a sponsor requests.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time it is. Most of the time it is possible to kind of incorporate it, kind of seamlessly. And I know that eventually I will be putting out like a mega video of the series, and that's not going to be sponsored, right? And I can put that out, and that won't have sponsors in it. So it's just kind of a necessary thing, and I try to take sponsors that I like when possible. And so anyway, I just sorry, I lost my train of thought after saying that. But
okay, well, no,
you take over.
That's literally what I was kind of asking. So, and the cool thing, I think I was talking to Eviescape like a year ago on one of these casts, and he was just saying like when he started YouTube, like no YouTuber was really taking sponsorships at the time. And
yeah.
So when he took like his first few, everyone in his comments were just like hating on him for selling out. But nowadays, I mean, everybody understands. And I think it also helps first of all, just content creation in general, we've just moved on. Like sponsorships are expected at this point.
Yep.
But on top of that, you're also dealing with an audience that's, like you said, 25 through 34, the majority. And so we're just like more mature. I feel, well, some of us are more mature than others, but like, you know, it just, you're a content creator. I mean, you got to take the sponsorship. So
Yeah, I'm very glad that it is like very accepted nowadays,
Yeah,
and it's like you said, it's like expected
Mm-hmm.
nowadays. I'm glad that it's come to that point because ultimately it is free content. And obviously I know that I didn't owe my viewers the whole like not putting sponsors on Swampletics. I know I didn't owe them that necessarily, but I wanted them to have that experience.
Yeah.
But ultimately these days, like if you actually don't want to watch the product, like you just, you know, double tap on your phone like 6 times, right? And or you know, just press L on your keyboard 6 times.
Yeah.
And you know, it does help like a lot because ultimately, like if you watch a creator and you really like their content, like if they're taking sponsors, they are gonna be around longer. Like they sponsors are increasing longevity of every creator on the platform. And like my like December, this December was the weakest like December I've like ever had, like CPM, RPM wise. So sponsors come in to like offset the insane volatility of like YouTube payments.
Mm-hmm.
So it is really nice to have something that is so consistent, and you can just rely on. I think it's such a good thing for the platform and for creators. So if you know do see an ad that like annoys you or whatever, like just know it's like if you like the creator, it's helping them out, and that's like ultimately what matters, right?
It's true. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the escape room. And in fact, just go into it briefly for those that maybe haven't watched. What, there's like 2 that you've made?
Yes, 2, and I am currently working on a 3rd.
Okay, so what is the escape room? And then talk about what are the controversies against it. I
Right.
guess.
So, okay. So, the escape room is a concept that did come to me from a absolutely random guy DMing one of my admins last September. And what happened was like I was very skeptical at first, and then I'm like, could I turn this into something? Could I turn this into a story? So I started to like document everything that's going on, notes, and like I like here's the concept. So for people who don't understand, there's this concept called soft locking where you're basically stuck in a video game and you can't get out. Like in Pokemon, for example, like there are ways to drop items or get rid of them and then go to a certain place, and then suddenly you can't get out of there. But there are also people who do that on purpose and will find ways to get out of seemingly impossible situations. So that's where the concept stems from. You lock yourself maybe in a random place in RuneScape and you don't have the tools to get out just yet, but there is a solution somewhere and you have to find it. So that's where the concept came from. And this guy basically approached me with this idea, and like, you know, he said he wanted me to try it, and I like promised him off the bat, like, I don't know if I can make a video out of this. Like if I log onto this account and I escape in 10 seconds, it is not going in a video. And also if it's like, you know, I'm not going to promise you anything. It could, you know, I will try it out.
Yeah.
But odds are like, I don't know if I'm going to make this into anything.
Yeah.
And ultimately the core of the story, the controversy is that people think that I'm making these for myself. Like people literally think I'm crafting these escape rooms, which the last one, episode 2 of the escape room series,
that was so complex.
It was insanely complex, and it literally took the guy like 40 something days to come up with this, right? And
Holy shit.
I it's sad for me to see that people think it's fake, but I understand the skepticism because it's like, nah, like some guy just reached out to you and just gave you this. But he was a fan, and you know, he has been designing puzzles for people for 10 years. And he gets a ton of enjoyment out of it. He's been doing it for a long time. He's done it in Minecraft for his friends, and he's always wanted to like make one for a content creator and see if there's like a video to be made out of it. And he loves RuneScape. He hasn't played it in a while, but this is a real person basically. And the core of the story is that we have this rivalry going on pretty much. And obviously a lot of this is being played up a bit for the camera. Like I'm creating a story, so some elements are going to be exaggerated.
Of course.
But ultimately, everything is real. Like this is an actual thing that's being done. The escape is crafted and tested, and he, gives it his best guess on as to like how long it'll take me. But I see like probably half the comments are like, yeah, you made this for yourself. And I just like, I don't think people understand how big of a job that is for me to take the time out of my day to craft an escape for myself that I then have to act out for 2 hours as if I don't know the solution to it.
Yeah.
Or like in the first escape room, I like couldn't find the bank pin because I had like bronze bolts equipped. And I don't think people realize that, like, yes, obviously I haven't used a bank on the game in 7 years, but well, okay, I have for leagues and stuff, but I just like I don't think people understand like what was going on behind the scenes where I had literally no clue what I was going into. Like I had absolutely no idea. And I'm able to explain what's going on to a viewer after the fact, but when I jumped onto that account and I saw a bank pin, I literally was like, yo, dude, you forgot to like take off the bank pin on this account. And I like didn't think it could, I thought I was escaping a soft lock. Like, damn, there's like some unintended mechanic. And you're seeing like my actual raw reaction to just being put in this very weird situation and not knowing what the hell to do. And
Yeah.
after I solved that bank pin, I'm like, okay, now I know what's going on. I know like what I'm supposed to be doing, how I'm trying to get out. But it's like I said, I'm telling a story, but all the core components are actually real. This is a guy that, is just doing this for his own enjoyment and for, ultimately he wants me to entertain people with the concept. And we've actually become good friends, but it's a rivalry for the camera.
Yeah,
what? Redact that. We are not good friends. We hate each other. But yeah,
We all knew you were kidding. You're just
Yeah.
you're playing it for this episode that you guys are friends, but yeah, deep down.
yeah. But like, I literally did not know the guy until he reached out to me with this concept. Complete stranger. So
That is a really cool idea, and you do make it just super enjoyable. I mean, because anybody could just be given a puzzle and just kind of think about what's going on, but you've literally mastered just being able to explain what's going on to people that have never even played the game before. So just the whole combination of it works really well. I'm excited for the third one.
yeah, and that's where that skill set of balance really comes into. I feel like I have such a great ability these days, which is something I developed like over the last couple of years to empathize. I don't know if that's the right word, but kind of like I can replay a video of mine and really feel like a viewer. It's actually how I crafted like the entire Swampletics finale is like I put I like completely psyoped my brain to feel like I've never seen this before. And I'm like trying to gauge how I'd react to everything. And that's how I kind of craft everything. And it's exactly what I did for the escape rooms. It was a very useful skill in this very new video format for myself. And it was just so exciting because I'm like, damn, this is such a cool story to tell. It's like such a unique thing. Like what are the odds that like this guy, is who he is and likes making puzzles for people and reaches out to me? Like I have to make the most of that opportunity. And the idea is fantastic, but it's also this is another thing I want to talk about later maybe, is the idea is a very small part of like a successful video. I think the idea is like, I would say it's like 20% of it, right? I have like 40 different ideas for accounts, but like I still don't want to pick any of them. I have I have such a long notepad of ideas. I've probably thought of like any possible way to make an account on this game, and only so few of those ideas are actually something I'd ever create because I know like what could go viral or what couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing is like this idea like if I showed people the raw footage of me escaping these rooms, they would be like, this is so boring. Like this is so like it really mattered like how I presented it. And it's I had to really like try to figure out how to um make it intriguing in like the video. And I think a lot of people were also skeptical that like, damn, he escaped with like a minute left, like that's too good to be true. And like I also when I escaped with a minute left or whatever, it was like, people are gonna think that's fake, bro. People are gonna think that's scripted. But it just happened to turn out that way. And I know like people can choose or not to choose to believe me on that. But once again, I don't even remember what we were talking about. I just like keep going down rabbit holes.
It's cool hearing about all this because I mean, just kind of getting to pick your mind a little bit of how this all works. Because you're totally right though with the escape room. I mean, that is an idea that like, yeah, in your head you could think, oh, this is gonna work out perfectly for a video, and then you actually think like, does anyone want to watch me just sitting here for 2 hours? Like, how am I gonna like, make content? So yeah, I think it's
I mean,
yeah,
the idea is great, and it's one thing. So here's another thing I will say is like if I have like an idea for an account or a video or like something, if I can't think of a good way to title and thumbnail it, I will not do it. That is the first thing I think of when I thought of one inventory slot. I'm like, can this be a good title and thumbnail? Can I explain the concept in a title, and can I show it in a thumbnail that is actually attractive? If those two boxes are hit, then I can start thinking if it's a good series. That's like the barrier to entry for any good idea is, can I make this a good title and thumbnail?
That is so interesting. I hear about a lot from a lot of big YouTubers as well. It's always about like the video idea itself comes from just thinking of a great title and thumbnail.
Yeah. It is so crazy. Insanely important. I mean, and that's actually why I chose Timeline as well, is because I'm not gonna lie, I expected the first episode to bang because I had the title and thumbnail. Like, I was like, I felt so confident about it. I'm like, damn, this is gonna do so well. But I didn't think it would do 2 million views well. Like I thought it would, it would like, damn, maybe I can get like 500,000 views on this. But that like criteria, me feeling that confident about the thumbnail and title, I will now no longer make a series unless I feel that way, like a new series. Unless I feel really confident, I'm like, damn, this can go viral. I won't even start thinking about the rest of the series and like where it could lead, end goals, whatever. Like I'm not thinking about that unless I know a title and thumbnail.
That's so interesting. Okay, here's a random topic. What's the go-to food snack while working on content?
Interesting. So I feel like I'm not really snacking these days, actually. At least for the last month, I've been committing to very like rigid routine. And I pretty much am only eating like chicken and rice right now. Chicken, rice, broccoli, and like protein shakes. I've been going to the gym for like a month now, and I'm like really snacking. Yeah. I just like only eat my meals currently. So I guess I'll like take a banana or something. I don't know. Like I'm just feeling something.
But it's more you're more focused on diet and stuff now.
Yes, definitely, because I think the one downside to this absolutely incredible, gorgeous, beautiful job is that and a lot of people see this as a huge positive, and it is, to not have a boss, right? Like it's so amazing to be your own boss. But the downside of that is you have to be your own motivation, and like if you don't force yourself to work, no one's gonna make you work. Like you don't have some kind of consequence for like, be here at 9 or you're fired. Like I kind of wish I had that because I know it would make me way more efficient.
Yeah.
but instead, like I have to, tell myself like I'll work from like 9 to 12, and there's like no consequence if I don't do that. Like if I just slack off, like who's gonna punish me? No one.
Yep.
So I crafted this rigid schedule, and I told myself like I want to have more energy so I could actually stick to this schedule. So I incorporated the gym. I want to feel better as well, and um, I am trying to work from like I'm trying to split up, work and play. Where I this is also inspired by Jimmy. Like he was the first one to do this and like recommend that I do it too. Is like say that your workday ends at a certain time, and then like don't have your work and play be like completely mixed. Because I would like I don't know, my life for like the last 7 years has just been like, okay, I just worked on a video, like time to play RuneScape to relax. And then I'm still like recording stuff. So it's kind of like my, life is just work. And, I love work, but it would be also really healthy to, have some brain power not be used on RuneScape for like at least a couple hours a day. Because that's like my brain just thinks in RuneScape for like almost a decade now. So
Yeah. So let's get a comparison. So what was your diet like when you were kind of making videos years back, and just, I guess, compared to now? I mean, what were they some huge changes, or have you always just been like whatever on food?
So I'm a pretty skinny guy, and the diet would pretty much just be like, and like I had problems like actually eating pretty much. Like I wouldn't have the appetite necessarily to like eat when I should. So that's like something I'm working on right now. Like I gotta eat. Like I'm hungry. I need to go eat now. I can't wait. And back then, especially when maxing my ultimate, because that was like probably the most degen I've ever been. I pretty much just like ate like sandwiches. Like I would just like butter up some bread and like put some ham on it or something. It like really wasn't anything nutritious or anything, but like my mom like cooked like chicken and rice sometimes, or like salmon or whatever. So I'd always have like a healthy dinner at least.
Yeah.
But throughout the day when like my parents weren't home or anything, I'd just like be making myself sandwiches. And yeah, it's very, very different to now, where I'm trying to like I'm not a great cook, but like I can air fry chicken, and like I can put rice in a rice cooker now.
Yeah.
So it's like, that will always work, and that's probably like the best thing I can do for myself right now. So that's been the evolution of my eating, I guess. Is I went from only sandwiches and like sugary yogurt to just like chicken and rice and broccoli now.
Yeah. I think it's cool to just kind of go through. I mean, you're young. I mean, you're 22. I think you're at I don't know, a completely fine starting point with like getting into a little bit more fitness and diet and stuff. I mean, yeah, I had my own degen years. So I know what you mean about just like literally eating anything, or just, I mean, I think I had like the opposite. Like I haven't ever struggled with not eating. I struggle with like, okay, I'm eating too much at this point. So, but
yeah, that's funny.
It's cool to get into a frame of mind where you're like truly being autonomous, like just understanding like, okay, this is my schedule now, and this is how I eat now, and this is my routine now. Like it's much better, even though it kind of feels initially like you're being restricted, like you're self-restricting. It just helps in so many ways, because it's clearly what you want to do, and you're actually doing it. Like as soon as you actually do what you want to do, which is just seems like such a simple thing, it makes you so much happier in every way. Just totally. Knowing that you will do what you want to do, which is working on your energy levels and stuff. So.
And I feel much better. I've like, I kind of took on too many things at once, as it is with like me when it comes to like, instead of making like one little lifestyle change, because I started with like this motto of, just fix one thing. Like, I don't know, start waking up earlier.
Yep.
Or like start with like some sunshine in the morning. I like tried to take on way too many things at once. Like I'm on day like 23 of like cold showers, and it's like still not really easier for me. Like I have to like prep myself in the morning, like for 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do
Oh
it. I'm gonna do
God.
it. And it's like I feel so much better. I have a lot more energy because honestly, the last like 8 months, I've also like I had some like health complications with like IBS and like jaw issues. I have like
Mm.
bad TMJ from like wisdom tooth surgery actually. I got my wisdom teeth removed and it screwed up my jaw quite a bit. Um
I actually suffered with that a little bit when I was a kid. I almost had my jaw like locked after like a big meal one
oh
time.
my
I
god.
had a little bit of TMJ. My mom had it really bad too, so I feel for you. That fucking sucks.
Yeah, and I still haven't. So when and it didn't help for videos either because like, I talk a lot. Like my job
Hmm.
is talking and um it's tough when I need to talk for long periods of time and it's like, my jaw will just start to feel sore. It's like pretty decent now because I've been going to physical therapy for like, 8 months or something and
Mm.
I'm actually about to try acupuncture over the weekend. So I
Wow.
can let you know how that
Yeah,
goes,
I would love to
man. Well,
hear.
like, um, but yeah, I've also heard Botox. I have Botox for like like neutralizing or sorry paralyzing the like the jaw joint, and you're
Mm.
like pretty much good to go for like half a year. Like it'll completely solve it. I've heard great things from many people.
Wow. Yeah, I think I'm just trying to think because mine sort of just faded away. I think after I got braces, that sort of, I mean, it was awful during the braces, but like
Yeah,
afterward, it kind of helped. And then I just stopped chewing gum and I stopped eating Skittles and like stuff like that because I was
yeah,
like a huge gum chewer and that would flare
that's
up my
so
jaw.
bad.
It was
Yeah,
I had no idea because I was a kid, I just would
yep.
just chew gum and my jaw would just fucking ache. Yeah, oh my gosh, I'm getting PTSD talking about this because I just remember how awful it is. So, man,
It's like the worst thing you can do if you have jaw pain is like chew gum. Yeah.
or just
Do you
eat a
sleep with a
bag of
night guard as
Skittles.
well?
No, I
Did
never
you have a
used one
night
of
guard?
those. No. No.
Okay, yeah. So I also like clench in my sleep. So I've been
Oh,
using a night guard too. So like, and with like IBS and stuff. That's also like another reason why I had such debilitating like cramps and stuff for pretty much all of 2022. I was like dealing with that and the jaw pain. I was spending a lot of time like between physical therapy and like tons of different like gastroenterologists and like all these like doctors. I spent so much time going from like person to person to person to person. And the good thing that Tileman didn't like wasn't such a demanding series throughout last year where I did have a lot of time to do that. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I'm definitely on the up and up right now, I'd say, after
That's
switching some lifestyle things.
That's so good to hear. I feel like a lot of adults struggle with IBS. I do as well. Not anything
Hmm.
like super severe, but I remember going around to different gastroenterologists and trying to get like something figured out. But so much of it is just trial and error unless you just have like a ton of money to blow on like blood samples and stuff and just like
Yeah.
all this stuff. So it was a lot of just like elimination. And I was
Yep.
so lazy when I was like, because I was like 20 or something when I was going through all this. And I just didn't care enough. I was like going to college and I would just eat whatever I want. But yeah, I was suffering.
Dude, I was the same way. Like when I first started having it, because okay, so I will say this, my IBS was caused by the stress and anxiety of editing the Swampletics finale.
Holy
Like the
shit.
that's when I started having really bad stomach problems because like it was a lot of like self-induced pressure. Like I
Mm,
felt such like a weight to make it like so good and like I would just like stress myself out so bad. Like I was putting so much anxiety and pressure on myself. It like wasn't even other people's expectations. It was literally just me like wanting to be such a perfectionist about everything and I was getting so much anxiety over it and that's when like the problems started and after I finished the video weirdly enough like the problems that I had it's like stress and anxiety induced IBS that
okay.
like just persisted like for all of last year and now I haven't had any problems with it for like 2 months, which is really good.
That's
I'm
awesome.
so happy because I would be talking to Jim and Kev, um, and they could just tell like when I was having problems with it, like I'd be so much like lower energy.
Yep.
It's like your gut health like is your mental health. It's like it's crazy how much that relies like on your
It
energy and stuff.
literally is. I mean, just the lethargic nature of just being clogged up or having cramps. Like you just want to
Yeah.
lay in bed all day. I mean, it just ends up
Yeah.
what happens. And then lying in bed all day is horrible for your mental health. So yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's kind of like a very toxic cycle because
Oh
like
yeah.
I would start to get more stressed that I'm like not being productive, but I can't be productive because I'm feeling horrible. And then I'm like getting more stressed out, like shit, like I need to be doing something right now, but like I have no energy. And then it was just like a toxic cycle.
Yeah. I'm glad you're like figuring it out. That's not something you want to
Yeah.
deal with for the rest of your life. That's for sure. So
Yeah, I'm so that like problem IBS is like pretty much temporarily solved for myself now. I also went on an elimination diet, but same with like how you were describing it. I was so lazy at the start, like I didn't want to eliminate anything.
yeah.
I wanted to eat like whatever I picked up. Like, dude, I'm like 22. I
I
should be able to
know.
eat whatever I want for at least the next like 8 years, right? But
Yep.
no,
Yep.
I like had to eventually start eliminating things, and I think I noticed a big difference when I actually eliminated like nuts, like peanuts and stuff like that. I actually feel
Okay.
like that might have been my thing.
M-
Um,
Mine was definitely just lactose. I feel like just
really? Okay.
anything with milk, and it was always the problem with it was always hit or miss. It was like I could have a day where I eat 2 bowls of cereal and then eat a pizza and I feel fine. So it
Yeah.
was hard to say, but I think like more often than not, that was the big cause of me just having horrible cramps. And I wonder if gluten is also something that I struggle with, but I've never like fully eliminated it, so I don't actually even know. But it could possibly be
It's
because
definitely possible. Yeah. Those are like the most common criminals of like a stomach pain is like lactose, gluten,
yep.
um, and nuts maybe like not really so much. I think that just like happened to be my thing, but
Mm-hmm.
um, and I'm not like entirely sure of that, but I've been like I don't know. It maybe it was just like coincidental like correlation where I like stopped because the 2 times I felt it like come on was after eating something that had nuts in it, and then I stopped and like I haven't touched anything with nuts for 2 months, and I'm like too scared to try,
Yep. Yep.
like even just to confirm
yeah.
it. Like I
I
don't
know.
want to try.
I know. It sucks because if you try to eliminate more than one thing at a time, or you've just made a bunch of lifestyle changes, it's so hard to tell what was like what. You're
Hmm.
like, okay, but
All
it's
right, what just
working,
fixed
so
me?
like let's just
Yeah.
avoid it. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Ariadna asks 3 different questions. First one is, was there ever an account you really wanted to make but didn't because it wouldn't be good YouTube content? So I think I mean, you clearly have like you said, just tons of ideas. But is there one that you can
Yeah.
share potentially that like you was kind of on the edge, or would you want to keep that kind of secret so you could use it in the future?
So I do keep all of my ideas under, strict wraps usually.
Mm-hmm.
But I can touch on an idea that I've actually talked about before.
Okay.
It was in my like post Swampletics finale ramble. So I talked about this idea where um you basically start in Lumbridge, and to get to a new city, you have to beat like the Lumbridge gym leader. So kind of like, getting badges in like Pokemon
Yeah.
where, it's something like that where it would be like a PvP battle against a balanced opponent, and you'd have to balance that opponent based on like what you can achieve in Lumbridge.
Mm.
And
Dude,
you
that
would just
is
unlock
sick.
cities that way, like you would go from Lumbridge to Varrock, you would collect all the badges and eventually fight the Elite Four at the end.
Oh, that is
And
so sick.
yeah, it's an awesome concept, but it is like I've thought about the logistics of making that entertaining for YouTube, and it is insane. Like it is so insane because realistically, if you think about it, like first of all, you need to get like 8 different accounts that you need to level those accounts up specifically to be a well-matched opponent, and you have no way of actually testing those fights because you have no idea where the main character of the series is going to be when he's in Varrock, what stats he's going to have, what would be a balanced fight in Varrock. So you'd have to do all of this balancing work. You'd have to actually level up all the accounts. You'd have to level up an Elite Four or just borrow accounts, but stats come into play with that. And then all alongside that, you also have to think, well, there's also a lot of logistical work to do with how to present the series, and it's just like, how do I convey how awesome this concept is in a title or a thumbnail? It is really very, very tough to do. I feel like I've been close, like RuneScape, but like there's RuneScape, but there's gym leaders. Like I don't know. There's something there, but I can't like fully explain the concept in a title, and that is what like really kills the idea for me. Is how do I show people how dope this concept is, and also how do I do all of the balancing work, all of the like it's so tough. It is insanely tough in my mind.
Yeah, that is such a cool idea. And like, I just know if you did it, it would just be awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would just take so much planning. And obviously just like what is considered completing the area and stuff like that. Like that all goes into it as well.
There's so many different like factors at play for a series like that. And like it is so cool though. Like I would love to do that, but and especially with like RuneLight, there are ways. This is another thing that I like value exceptionally is the viewer experience. It's why I didn't do the 1 slot inventory account until like well over a year after I had the idea. There was no way to make a plugin at the time that would show like those red X's on your inventory. And I literally didn't want to do the idea just because of that, because if I had 27 random items, I think the viewer experience would just be too poor to make it an entertaining concept, because it doesn't feel like the restriction is real. And that's
totally right.
Yeah,
on that.
It's absolutely something that I just needed if I was going to do that idea. And then Adam figured out how to code the plugin, so I'm like, okay, now I can do the idea. And fun fact, 1slot, the 1slot account was going to be the series instead of McTile, but the reason why it wasn't was because I couldn't code that plugin, or I couldn't have it coded.
Yep.
So instead, I picked Tileman, which was my very close runner-up, and I actually couldn't decide between the two. But I was gonna go with the 1 inventory slot just because it's very like Ultimate Iron Man-esque, and that's like kind of been my brand for so long. And I'm like, okay, this is the most extreme way to play the mode. So it's the natural like next step for me. But yeah, now the plugin is coded, and I did the series alongside Tileman because it's plain and simple. My goal is to hit 1 million subscribers playing RuneScape. I think it would be the craziest like thing I could possibly do, because that would be like to get there, I have to attract so many more people who don't play the game. And the only way to do that is to have breakout concepts. Like I need another gold mine. I need to strike gold again. Probably maybe even twice I need to strike gold to actually hit that goal. And that's what I was trying with 1slot. That's what I was trying with escape rooms, because if I only make Tileman, like I could probably get like 6,000 or 7,000 subscribers a month for like the next, like 3 or 4 years just doing whatever. But realistically, I need breakout concepts if I'm going to attract people who don't play the game.
So I'm curious, because you mentioned you want to get to 1 million with being a RuneScape content creator. So when you hit that, is RuneScape obviously RuneScape is like your game and everything, but like, do you ever see yourself moving on from there and expanding even further that doesn't include RuneScape? And I'm talking years from now.
I will only leave RuneScape if I no longer find the game enjoyable. That is what I've decided. Or if the game is on a death spiral, it's most likely that I would only leave if the ship is sinking and there's no way for us to patch it up.
So not necessarily like abandon the game, but I mean just like making stuff that isn't RuneScape, like a series, but you would still have, RuneScape stuff, but
yeah. So I still think same thing. I would only expand if I was no longer playing RuneScape, and if I was to expand while playing RuneScape, I would do it on a second channel, and I would never introduce it on my current channel.
Okay, that's fair.
Because for one, I feel like people subscribed for, RuneScape content, and that's where my brand and reputation lies. But if RuneScape were to die and, the Riot MMO comes out and it's taking the world by storm, I'd probably, give that a try. And, if RuneScape was on a death spiral, but I honestly don't feel like RuneScape is in danger at all. I actually think it has a healthy life ahead of it, at least for the next 3, 4, maybe 5 years. And it's just if I think about it, I started playing this game when I was 5. It has been my life for 16 years. That is 70% of my life. That is insane.
I love it. You were just literally 5. That is just it's just so young. My little brother was 3 when he started playing, just because he saw his 2 older brothers playing. And I'm
what?
Dude, he had no idea what was going on. But just that is going to be a part of your life. If you start
even
playing
crazier.
So young. Yeah, no, that's insane though. And you're right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a funny story, because my brother got me into the game. And I vividly remember, it's one of my fondest memories. It's my dad was asking what the age requirement was to play the game. And my brother, I remember he convinced my dad by saying the age requirement was 6 and I was 5. And he was like, "It's close enough, just let him play." And my dad let me play.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like my dad obviously saw through that blatant lie. Yeah. But it's just so funny thinking back on that. And my brother played it on and off for probably until he was 16. And yeah, it's just so funny that it's my career now, and it's been such a part of my life.
What does your brother think about it now? Do you guys talk?
Yeah, we talk, but I wouldn't say we talk a lot about career stuff. I feel I don't know, we're I wouldn't say we're crazy close, but we're good. We're the equivalent of good friends, I'd say.
Okay.
And I'm sure he thinks it's cool and probably a little wild, because he's the one that and me the game, and now it's wow, he's making videos for hundreds of thousands of people. That's really dope. But and my parents
yeah, what do they think?
Yeah, dude, it's so when I dropped out of college, that was very controversial in my family. Okay, it was my dad absolutely hated that. My mom also hated that. And it was this first time that I had to kind of be my own person and go against what my parents thought was right for me, because I felt it in my bones. This is what I was made to do, and I have to disappoint them. It's the only way.
Mm-hmm.
And I dropped out of college after 1 semester. And the thing is, my parents were still we hate this, but we're still gonna support you. And it's they weren't ever vindictive or anything that about it. It's just they really thought it was the wrong path. And now they think it's really dope because it worked out. So yeah.
That's always like a really cool. I love asking creators about that kind of stuff because there's no way any parents are thinking this is a good decision unless you were already
No.
just like, making six figures and then you decide
Yeah.
to drop everything. But like, yeah, I don't
It's
think any parents have ever been like, yeah, go for it. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, the skepticism is warranted, especially for parents who like my parents only know one path to success, and that's, like you get a good education, you get a job. That's like, that's just
That's it.
how it is. But now the internet exists, and it's like everything is different. There's like 1,000 different ways to make a career these days, and college is probably still the right path for most people, I'd say. But
Mm-hmm.
I just decided it wasn't for me, and I would agree. Like, the thing is like if it was my kid, and obviously I'm like biased here because it obviously worked out for me,
Mm-hmm.
but I would still tell them to like give it a shot because that's the one thing that allowed me to disappoint them is like if I don't give this my all, I will spend the rest of my life regretting it. Like I'm gonna ask what if? Like
Yep.
what if I did put all my time into that and I couldn't live with that? So that's like probably the advice I'd give is like, give it a shot. If it doesn't work out, like school is always there.
Yeah.
Go back. Yep.
Yeah, I think it's also just smart because I have no idea what it's going to be like to raise a kid. I would like kids one day, but yeah, just being able to guide them to be like, do what you want to do, but be passionate. Like for so many years in my childhood, at least, I felt so gate kept from like
Yeah.
so many things. And I was so limited. Like I was actually telling my dad this when I moved back to Oregon just a couple weeks ago. I was living with my parents for a couple weeks, but I just remember saying like, man, I feel like a mentor would have been a phenomenal thing to have when I was a kid because I literally just had such closed minded options where it came to like career stuff. Seriously,
Yeah.
like even in my early 20s, I still felt like there was like 3 different routes I could take with my career and none of them sounded appealing.
Yeah.
And getting out of that and being able to like, I don't know, get a mentor or like just have people that understand that there's like so many more options for you and like to actually do things you want to do and there is a way to make money off of it. It's like, I don't know, that's so important just to have a vision of it. But if you don't, it's like it's restrictive. I don't know.
That would be very invaluable. And I have like a very relatable experience to that because the high school that I moved to, which like so I moved to a high school like pretty much the same time I started my YouTube channel. And I remember like my first day, it was a class called Freshman Seminar. And they literally just made you pick like your career path. Like you had to pick STEM or like, God, I like forget the others. The only one I
Yeah.
remember is STEM.
I know what you're talking about.
But yeah, you had to pick like an area, and then you also had to pick what you wanted to do, and like that was literally like written down. It was written down in your file and everything, like what career path you're pursuing, and it just kind of like, why would you do that to a freshman? Like, why would you close their mind like that to just like this kid is like 14 or 15, and it's like you're gonna limit them to only looking at this like one career path. And that's what my entire high school was like, is if you wanted to switch career paths, let's say I wanted to go to like from STEM to something in like healthcare, like I wanted to be a nurse or something, like you'd have to go to a guidance counselor and you'd have to explain yourself, like you'd have to convince them that this is a right switch for you, and that's the only way they allowed you to like switch. And it's just so like that's so dumb. So I completely get like, why would you like restrict a kid like that?
It's so tough because like I bet there is data on like that is good for a lot of kids to have like it very pointed out for you. I don't know, but there's so many people that are just so much more like free. I get just
I know what you mean.
just spontaneous. Like they just want to like explore things and like do things that are not on the beaten path, So, man, that is just rough. And that is how I felt. I don't know if it was exactly the same way where it was just written down in my whole high school career, but like, yeah, it wasn't ever fun going to those like little courses and be like, here's a list of like 20 different things you want to be. What do you want to be? A doctor, a firefighter? Like, I'm just like, okay, like I'll write one of these down. I have no idea.
There's a saying that adults ask kids that question to get ideas for themselves because they don't even know.
Wow.
It's like, it's, you know, people, like a lot of people are like 30, 40, and they still don't really know like what they were meant for, like what they're passionate about. It's something that like, that is a journey you go on, man. Like it's not something that you can look on a list and be like, yeah, oh yeah, I do want to be a civil engineer for the rest of my life. Which is also like that is what happened to me. I went into STEM and I chose civil engineer. I am not good with my hands. I don't know, like I can't look at something and know how it works. That's like something that runs in my family, but I'm completely different. I'm just like entirely like a creative person, and I think with my mind, and I don't, you know, like I can't fix things.
Yeah.
And I chose civil engineer, like the worst possible thing for myself. And it's, I don't know why you would restrict someone to like, you know, 14, 15, like there's no way you know what you want to do. Like there obviously there's a chance, but 99 times out of 100, like you have no clue what you're going to end up doing.
Yep. No, you're totally right. Okay, here's the second part of her question.
Oh yeah, okay.
So let's pull that up. She asks, if I remember from an old Q&A, you're part Polish. Did you ever visit Poland? Got any favorite Polish food?
Oh, so I was born in Poland, and I've gone back there many summers. I also speak Polish fluently, and
cool.
I speak it at home. I speak pretty much, well, I wouldn't say strictly in Polish. I speak strictly in Polish to my dad most of the time because he's the one that like nailed it into my head that like you will speak Polish at home, and that's something that I like was resentful for a while, but now I'm like really glad he did it because I know a second language fluently still because of it.
That is really cool. Yeah.
I'm really glad he forced me to speak it at home. And it's so favorite Polish food. I mean, this is like going to be such a basic answer, but like pierogies, like they've got so much range.
Wait, how do you spell it? I want to pull it up.
Pierogi. There you go. You can buy them at like Polish stores if there's any near you, and my mom always makes them at home, and you can just like kind of put anything in them really, but I think the most common is like we call them like Russian pierogies, Russkie pierogi, where I think it's just like potato and like I actually have to, I don't know why I don't know what's in these.
I'm just looking at pictures of the Russian ones. These look so good. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, they're amazing, and like they're just like they have so much range. So I just have to go with that. It's like a staple of Polish food. Also, I think the like most common thing we like eat in my household is like different soups because I think my parents were just raised like in like 1970s, 1980s Poland where there's like just fucking nothing. Like you just made whatever you had, and like soup was like the go-to. So my mom still makes like a lot of different soups, and yeah, that's also like I love soup. It's can't go wrong, you know.
I'm gonna tell Soup that you love him.
Yes, tell him I love Stefan.
That's cool. Okay. Also, last thing is thanks for being the inspiration to play this damn game mode. You have got to be the inspiration for like 90+% of all UIMs, I swear. Like that's just gotta be it.
Yeah, I have heard that a lot. Is it's like whenever an Ultimate Iron Man sees me in game, it's either like thank you for getting me into this or like screw you. Like I'm so like addicted to this. My life is ruined. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so here's another topic that's kind of a little bit about RuneScape, actually. So Oni asks, what one unpulled change would you make if given the opportunity? If you could remove a single piece of content, what would it be? Oh, these are like multiple questions. I thought they were like extensions. I'll just read the last one. Were you ever close to giving up on Swampletics? Oh, and lastly, new skill thoughts. So I guess we'll just start with the first one. Is there any unpulled changes that you would like to see if you were just given the option to do so?
So I guess I'm kind of answering another question with this. It would be a new skill, except I would. So I'm actually like I'm rooting hard for like a really like dope version of sailing. Like I really want it to be like a new dungeoneering for old school. I think there's so many ways to make it so cool. I don't care about keeping my max cave. I think if that's the reason you're voting no, like just, come on, man. Like so I would love a new skill, and I really hope that it's just cool. I really hope it's there's there's so many options. There's so many ways it could go, and I think there's absolutely a skill out there that like a majority of the game will absolutely love, and I think it could completely reinvigorate the game and put it on another like one of those upticks that we had like with mobile or with like raids. Like we need things like that, and I think a new skill will absolutely get that kind of attention.
You're totally right, and I am so glad you said sailing. I think sailing. The problem is like, so I've seen a lot of people against sailing, and I think a large part of that is just because there's never really been a super well fleshed out idea of sailing. But at least when I think of the like how far you could take sailing and how cool you could make it, it's just always the number one option on my mind. I think I would also include Bard in that. Like Bard is also a cool skill, but I feel like the community just really wants something that's adventurous and is combat related. Like,
can you explain Bard to me?
Yeah, you could watch the Sae Bae cast with Caveman Only, where he talks about it for like 6.5 hours. It was a great cast, by the way. But
oh my god!
I mean, him and Gentle Tractor were like the main people that made it, and it is just. There's so much to it, but basically what it is like you have instruments that you can craft, you can play them, you can battle people with your instruments, so it's like non-combat kind of battling duels.
Yeah.
And you can also just train by sitting at bard camps. And so you would just sit at a bard camp, listen to music, chill, and you can just get passive XP if other people play. So like there's a point to like being with other people if you just want to chill there and listen to music. And I mean, there was so much to it. I mean, there was like enchantments. If you went to like, if you were woodcutting or fishing, random events could happen if you played a certain tune. And it really just went all around the world of Gielinor. And one of the coolest things that I really liked was the option to like pacify creatures and aggro creatures just with like a war drum or like a flute. And like, I don't know, just being in like a boss fight. And imagine just being able to like make a boss kind of fall asleep for a little bit, just like things like that were just kind of cool about it. And this was also under the impression that like we would not only have one more skill in old school. I was thinking like we could have Bard, we could have sailing, we could have, whatever else coming out in like the, next few years. I wasn't just saying like, this is the one and only perfect skill. We need it now, but it was very fleshed out and it was a fantastic idea that was like really well designed, I thought. So
it sounds like it would kind of bring back some of the MMO that is a little lost with the prevalence of Iron Man mode in this MMO RPG. I do think like if I was to pick one skill, I do want something like adventurous and new and like super exciting. Like the idea of like upgrading my sailing boat and then like taking it out to islands and like having so many things to explore, like that gets me like I like get like excited thinking about that. Like there's just, dude, I want that so bad, and I hope people don't write it off. I haven't been like super in tune with like the community response to like different skill ideas. I haven't really been paying that too much attention to that. I've just been like thinking about sailing and just like exciting myself about like the prospects of it.
No, you're totally right though. Like sailing has the biggest ceiling, I think, for just absolute just awesomeness. And Bard was kind of like it just accents everything in a way. I mean, there was so much potential with Bard too. I mean, pubs would be popping off. The problem is like a lot of players do play like super efficiency minded. And I feel like we have to just ignore that with anything, because there will just be metas where you just, I don't know, figure out how to like abuse the skill and just get it like really high really quickly and stuff. But like for the overall average player, I thought it was just a phenomenal idea that would get players like interacting with each other again, like you said, turning it back into an MMO.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't know how much I like the idea of it like sort of changing, like interfering with combat, like with like putting monsters to sleep. I don't know if I so much like that concept, but I do enjoy the idea of like kind of reinvigorating MMO roots, because I do think that was like a very special part of the game. But then again, like you were saying, it's kind of like a lot of us maybe have grown out of that, where like that's, you know, like interacting with tons of players was like something that we like adored as kids, but
not
maybe
anymore. Yeah.
now it's like, you know, our target audience is a maybe too different for that skill to be popular. But
Yep.
I don't know. I
That's
am just
yeah, no, you're totally right with that.
Yeah.
I mean, the game has completely evolved. People love playing solo. There are still tons of people that want to play with each other, but like, yeah, I don't know how Bard would work. It's again, it's great in theory in my head, because I just think of like all the positives, but it's so hard to know if it's not in the game and we're like testing it, because yeah, who knows?
Yeah, that's another thing, is like on paper and reality are going to be very, very different things, right?
Oh yeah. Okay, the other question was, were you ever close to giving up on Swampletics?
No. I talked about this in the post Swampletics finale video, but no, it was never even like a thought in my mind. It's just like I can't imagine giving up on any series that I start. I intend to finish every single thing I begin, even though there is technically an unfinished series on my channel, which is it was like one of the first like side things I made, which was Hoarders, where it was like in 2016 or 2017, like my first or second year on YouTube, where I wanted to fill up the treasure chest as an Ultimate Iron Man, and that was just like such an insane goal. So that's like the only thing that stays unfinished on my channel, but it's not like it was popular or anything. It was just like something I was doing for fun, where basically I would all the clue scrolls I did, I would just separate into those videos, and I would only show progress in my progress videos. But then I kind of realized that like having clue scrolls and progress videos back then, I was like, actually, this is kind of a necessary balance. So
Yeah.
I just stopped the series.
Interesting.
But everything else, I like. There will be a fire inside of me that like absolutely wants to finish anything I start, and it's never a thought to quit for me.
That's cool. That's cool to hear. And that's probably nice to hear for that guy as well, knowing that.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting topic. This one comes from Frosty Barf. He asks, don't ask me. Oh wait, his name's Frosty Bard, but he named his Twitter like name Frosty
Bard
Barf.
skill confirmed. All right, let's hear it.
As someone who continuously seeks out ways to reinvent this medieval clicking simulator, do you think the Snowflake Iron Man community is approaching an event horizon of sorts, or is there still plenty of potential for new ideas? Isn't an event horizon never ending? So wouldn't it be a better maybe a cliff?
Yeah, I think that's what he meant, is like an event cliff. You could say. Listen, I've got about 40 different ideas for that community on my notepad right now. There's a ton of accounts that would be fun to play, but not to make YouTube videos for. But the thing is, right, I actually think with the sudden uptick in the prevalence of RuneLite plugins, it does feel like we are actually approaching an event horizon rather than a cliff.
I would agree with that.
So many things to do. There's like big shout out Idol, because I think
I was
he's
going to ask. I didn't want to be like, do you know who Idol is? And then like have it like this awkward thing where it's like I kind of do, but Idol's a king. Yeah, go for it.
I have like I know in like okay, this is such a dumb like comparison to make, but in like CS:GO, where they have like top 20 players of the year, they always ask the players like, who do you think, like, who is your pick for like the next up and comer? And if I was asked that question for RuneScape, my answer would be Idol, because I think He's got the brain, man. He's got the brain for it. He's got the coding talent, and he's getting much better at titles and thumbnails. Which, if you look at his channel, you'll notice that, like, basically, his most popular video was I'm actually gonna go to his channel right now. I made your terrible plugin ideas, and it broke RuneScape. That is a good title, and that is his most viewed video, and it like completely changed the trajectory of his channel. As soon as he figured that out, his ideas were good, his execution was good. He was missing the title and thumbnails. He's getting much better at them, and he's my pick for like breakout star this year if I had to pick someone.
Dude, that is Idol is still just so underrated. Like he is
Very, yeah.
so talented. He is so freaking talented at this game and or at content creation in general. I mean, at the game probably too, but coding wise, just humor's on point every time. He's just energy filled. There's not a bad bone in his goddamn body. He's just like he's built for this. And so I am just absolutely looking forward to him just absolutely exploding because he is. And the thing is, it's not just like one or two good ideas. He is pumping out just new stuff on Twitter. Like I see it all the time. Like, just crazy out of the box things. And eventually some will just absolutely stick on and it'll just become the next big thing. So,
yeah, I like when I started watching a couple of his videos, I can kind of see a lot of my past self in him where I think he's got so many good ideas and he's going to get so much better and better and better and better as a content creator over the next couple of years that I really think if anyone's going to be like the next like in the like top 5 no, I don't, arrogant comment. No, I was going to say like if I was to pick anyone that's going to be like in the top 5 like YouTubers for RuneScape within the next couple of years, I would pick him. I really think like it's crazy that he doesn't have more subscribers. And I think another big reason for that is I actually don't remember if he does any CTA, like asking people to subscribe. By the way, you should subscribe to the Sae Bae channel. That like helps a lot. It's there's an art to doing it where you should be very subtle about it because you're gonna annoy people if you do it too often or if it's it's like really contrived feeling. But I think he should be way more popular than he is like the point I'm trying to make. Absolutely.
I wonder if this is just in my own head or if this is an actual thing, but it seems as though people are like apprehensive to like subscribe to new content creators. This might just be full on projection at this point, but I'm just wondering like, whenever there is a new guy on the street that's like making amazing content, it almost feels like, oh, it's like he's just copying this other big creator or he's just like trying to be like this guy or whatever. It feels like it's a lot tougher for brand new YouTubers to just make a great stride initially because there's already just so much OSRS content out there. It's so hard to get your like bearings and just have people understand like this is a channel worth subscribing to. Not just like, oh, I'll watch his content. It's great and all, but I have like my go-tos like, Settled, Torvesta, Framed, all those people, Jimmy.
Yeah.
I wonder if other people feel like, do you feel that at all or is this just me?
I think it might be a bit of an uphill battle, but I will say that I think starting new in RuneScape, like if you were trying to be like a breakout creator, I think RuneScape is one of the easiest games to do it in, at least to get to like kind of the area that Idol is at. I think in comparison to other games and genres, I think RuneScape is actually very easy to get to that like well, by easy I mean like it's easier than other categories. I'd say it's still difficult because like anything there's so much competition on YouTube. There's insane amounts of competition. And I'd say for RuneScape though, you have a community that's very open to seeing where people take the game and what people are doing. I would say maybe it is a bit of an uphill battle for like new creators to like kind of compare and have people, like I think the top like OSRS creators kind of shares the same like viewership pool, and those viewers are going to be trickling down, and they're going to be casting their judgment on the like newer creators who are trying to break out, kind of like you said, and they have their like preconceived judgments
Yeah,
on like
that's it.
this person is copying or this person is doing this and that, like just like one of these other creators. So maybe it is like a bit of an uphill battle in that way. But I do think that ultimately, going back to what I was saying, if your ideas are good, if your title and thumbnail is good, and you can tell, a good story with your ideas, I think there's like a 99% chance that you are going to make it big. And sometimes it can take longer. But like I am confident that if my channel blew up, and by that I mean like exploded into smithereens and I was reset back to zero, I could get back to like a good level, like given enough time. Just like knowing the things I know. So I actually forgot the premise of this question, but
No, I
I
mean
think I've rambled
that was
enough.
pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just my own thoughts on like that. But I think you stated it beautifully. I mean, it is an uphill battle, but like you say, like, because I don't really compare it with other games or other categories on YouTube, but I can imagine as well. Yeah, maybe RuneScape is one of the easier places to grow because the community is generally pretty accepting of just new stuff. Anyway, they're excited about it.
Yeah. I mean, like I have my mom's friend who um they're trying to start like a finance channel from scratch, and it's like, God, that is like such an insanely competitive category. It is like the chances that you make it there are slim to none. It is very, very difficult. Whereas like I compare to something like, gaming where you just need the idea. Whereas like if you're trying to start a finance channel, anything you say, anything you can come up with has already been said. There is literally nothing you could possibly do that hasn't already been said somewhere on some different channel. Like start an IRA, like make your contributions, like have an emergency fund. Like I know, dude, like there's nothing new you can teach me as a new creator in finance, but you could teach me a lot of things as if you have a cool idea on RuneScape, and you could get a lot of people to subscribe for that.
That has got to be just so incredibly tough. Just like, yeah, I mean, we could go on like my own tangent on that, but yeah. Anyway.
It's insanely tough. Yeah.
Okay, a cold one asks, what possessed you to wake up one day and say, "Yep, this is how I want to play old school RuneScape"? Also, I'm going to just expand on this a little bit. Can we talk about why you even started a UIM in the first place? I feel like I never asked that.
Right, that's more like a personality thing where every game I've ever played, I've been into gaming for ages. Like I started like when I was 5 on like Miniclip and stuff, right? And I would always want to set things to the hardest setting. Like I would always instantly want to play games on their most difficult setting.
Really?
And
Okay,
it's just
I got to interrupt. Did you ever play Age of War?
I did, yes.
Did you play that on Impossible?
Yeah,
that
on
was
Impossible, yes.
That was impossible. Like that was so hard.
Yeah, dude. I was that guy who literally like looked at that game. I loaded it up for the first time and I'm like, impossible. Yeah, we'll see about that. Like that's always how I've thought about things. And it's just I don't know where necessarily that stems from. Like I am a very competitive person and I know that. But that definitely like it definitely transferred over into RuneScape. And the thing is like with RuneScape, when I started playing, at least like once I finally knew what I was doing, because obviously I started when I was 5. I didn't leave Lumbridge for a year probably. But when I really started getting into the game, I wanted to be a PKer. Like everyone that was cool and dope and doing cool things on YouTube was like a PKer at the time. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna make a PKing account, and I'm gonna be the best PKer in Edgeville. Like, I'm gonna get there. So that's also where the name comes from. Settled is Oh God, this is such a cringe story, but
Let's
like
hear
when
it.
I was 11, I really wanted a one word name just because like I wanted to be the coolest PKer, right?
Yep, yep.
So and you know back then, you know like people were toxic and shit, you know like the world hasn't changed, but um people would say sit if they killed you, right?
Yep.
So I'm like, okay, I want a one word name. Sit sounds pretty dope. And I like go, obviously it's taken like it's a 3-letter name,
Yeah.
but I look up synonyms of sit and I find settle. And settle was taken, so I took settled, and that's where I am today. And that's literally it. Is I just wanted a cool one-word name, and that's how I came up with it. It's so dumb. Um,
Did you
it's
ever
just
tell
a
people
synonym of sit.
settled when you killed them in PK?
No, I never did that. Like it just never felt right. I would still say sit if I
Yeah,
killed
yeah, yeah.
someone because like little
Yeah.
11-year-old proud of his kill. Um, but that's the thing is like I was actually like pretty scared to PK. Like I would get shakes when I like started a fight back then.
Oh yeah, straight up, dude.
Yeah.
Just like the legs are just jolting.
Got Jad hands fighting someone in the wilderness, you know?
Oh my god.
Oh
It
boy.
didn't help that my home computer was in the middle of the kitchen. It's right next to
Oh
the
my
sliding door.
God.
So it is just like it was always just freezing. So on top of
Oh
that,
my
it's like
God.
nighttime. I'm just shivering, like trying to enter the like. I just remember approaching. You know when you're walking up Varrock past the yew tree over to the ditch, like I
Yeah.
just going on that like just the typical free to play path to the wilderness. I mean,
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
progressively as the music changes, you know, because I'd always play music full blast.
Oh
I would
yes.
just start shaking, and it was just like natural. Like, okay, the shakes are building up, and then like you know, you go past the border. You're just,
Dude, okay.
dude, I literally jolt like my legs would like. Oh my god, yeah, it was bad.
Dude, for me, my like, I got so scared. My like teeth chattered back then. Like I was, like my teeth were chattering like as I'm like trying to switch to my DDS and shit. And oh my god, and
Oh my
but the
god.
thing is, it's like the dopamine you got for killing someone. Oh my god, like it got me so excited to actually get a PK back then. It was insanity. And
Oh yeah.
the funny thing is, like, when I made my UIM in 2015, I had done no bossing content. Like, the only thing I did was I killed Jad. That's like the only PVM I had ever done at the time that I created my account. I was always like into PKing and making builds, and sometimes I would just make different PKing builds and then never go PKing on them because I was so scared. Um,
Damn. But
so I would
just the
just
idea,
build them.
but the
Yeah.
building is like the fun part anyway.
Right. Yeah, I've always enjoyed the journey of it,
Yeah.
you know, and that's definitely some of what transferred over to like leveling up an account that is like so at the time it was like insanely prestigious to have like a high level UIM like
Mm-hmm.
rank 1 was like like I don't know, like 1900 total when I started or something like 1800 maybe.
Wow.
And yeah, like I vividly remember like when the first UIM maxed, and I did have an inspiration for starting Ultimate because like many other people at the time, I had no idea it existed. I didn't know it was a real mode. I had obviously heard of Iron Man mode. I watched One Man Army, all this stuff. Um, and it was actually this guy called Torwent, which there's no way anyone has ever heard of him, because he had like 800 subscribers at the time, and then he like quit to like pursue mountain climbing or something. I don't know. And I think I like literally looked. I was looking for his channel like last month, and I'm pretty sure he deleted all of his videos.
Wow.
Which is so sad.
Yeah.
So because he like had documentation of the earliest days of Ultimate Iron Man mode, which I know there's also, you know, there's still videos up on the platform of the early days, but he was rank 6, and he was the only like PVMer of that time. And the thing is like back then the death mechanics for ultimates, you were basically playing a hardcore. So he would one of the last videos he ever made was he went to Sarah and he died in the Sarah room, which just meant like all of the progress he had for the last year gone. He was not able to get back
Holy
into the room.
shit.
All of his stuff disappeared, his looting bag, everything, it's gone.
Holy shit. That is
So-
so brutal.
Yeah, playing in like 2015 was really brutal for ultimates. until they extended the death timer to an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because before then, like you were playing on a hardcore ultimate, pretty much, and that's what made him quit the game, because he died at Sarah twice and lost all of his things, and I think after the double wipe, he just stopped playing, even though he was rank 6.
That is just so brutal thinking about. Oh my God.
But like seeing how like crazy hardcore that was, like, damn, I want to do that. I want to get to that point. And like, this is like the hardest thing you can do in the game. Like that's how my mind thought about it, is like, that is so fucking cool that he got to that level and was doing Sarah, and like you have this potential to lose everything. Like that really hooked me, and I'm like, I am going to make an Ultimate Iron Man, and I'm going to have the best gear in the game. Which never happened. My Ultimate's like pretty built, but I don't really play the account that much. But yeah, that's what really inspired me, and that's why I named my first series like the Dream Gear like list, is because that's what I was going for. That's what inspired me.
That's cool. And then that just sort of drifted into making Snowflake UIMs as well, just different variants on it.
So I have I literally have messages to UIM Link in 2016. So the first year of my YouTube channel, about making an Ultimate Iron Man that's restricted to only Karamja. I like told him about this idea. I remember he thought it was stupid. And back in 2016, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to hit like 2,000 total or something, and then I'll make that series on the side. And I was like always so interested in that idea, because naturally, as someone who got inspired to play Ultimate by seeing how it's hardcore, I wanted, like, if there's something more hardcore out there, I want to do it. Like I want to push it to literally as far as it can possibly go. So I thought, well, not banking, not trading, and then also being in an area that's restricted, like that would be insane. And I ended up not like, obviously I slept on the concept for like 2 years, because like Verf ended up making it in like 2018, and then I'm like, well, shit, I can't do Karamja anymore, and I ended up being like, well, there's no Ultimate in Mauritania yet. So in 2019, after I finished maxing, I'm like, naturally, this is what I'm gonna do now. And the thing is, at the time, obviously, Swampletics was intended to be a side series. Which is like, every time I like think something is going to be one thing, it always ends up being like way bigger than I imagine. Which I like to consider myself like an optimistic person, but apparently I'm being conservative with like how I, expect my like series to go.
Yep. Oh my gosh, that is really cool though. Just like the whole concept that was so new to just be area locked. Nowadays, we think of that as just such an ancient, archaic sort of way to play. But yeah, that was really like the stepping stones to everything else. Where do you think it's going to end? Like, or not end necessarily, I guess, going back to that event horizon kind of thing. But like, yeah, what is going to be the absolute peak? Have we already hit it with like one inventory? Like, what could be more intense, or not even just like intense, but just like fascinating, like a fascinating concept.
Dude, I feel so bad that I like can't talk about this, but so in my videos recently, I've done it in like 3 videos where I've said like, as soon as I hit 1 million subscribers, I'm going to make the most masochistic series in RuneScape. Yep. And I have this idea that I've been holding on to,
but you can't
specifically for that moment. That is just absolutely psychotic, and I want to do it so bad, but I can't talk about it because I know someone will take it as soon as I say it.
That's fair. But is it something like so crazy that you doubt somebody would make it before you hit 1 million subscribers?
There is no way anyone will make this. So I wish I could talk about it, because that's all I want to do is talk about it. But
okay,
man, I'm gonna keep that close to the chest. But I literally think that could be the peak, because I I don't know. I think it's just so insane. And and that like that idea being there shows me that there's still a way to work up to that, and there's still a lot more ideas that are less insane than that could be really really fun to do. So
Hmm.
I I don't know when we'll peak, or if that will be the peak, or if we have more years ahead of like the idle level RuneLite plugins that are coming that could potentially transform entirely how we play. I mean, with like the whole survival man mode that he like just uploaded.
Yeah, like I think that has a lot of potential if they made a bunch of RuneLite plugins
Yeah,
for that. Like that's got to be huge.
there is an untapped gold mine with that, I will say, because
Oh yeah.
that pretty much transforms the fabric of the game. Like
Hmm.
you are suddenly playing something different, right? So that there's this game is like as close to a sandbox as you get without being a sandbox, in my opinion. And I think RuneLite has single-handedly put the sand in our box, because it's just like, man, the possibilities. Like, I mean, my last two series, Tileman and One Slot, are both reliant on RuneLite plugins. They wouldn't exist without them.
Hmm.
So, it has transformed everything.
What do you think about Jagex like making these modes official? Um, is that appropriate? And not to say every single one of them, but like ones that really stick on and people that like it. Like, I don't know. Do you think there's room for official modes to be like that, or do you think it's best that they just stick to RuneLite unofficial stuff?
Um, so the way I don't know if this is like, something real that I'm saying here, but it almost feels like the game would feel too cluttered when there's like so many systems um that kind of do the creativity for you, and like it just feels like it would kind of get saturated if like you see like nine different players over the course of like 15 minutes and they're all like a different official mode. It just kind of feels like there's too much going on in a way,
Yeah.
and I really like the kind of like self discretion to choose how to restrict yourself. I don't think there's really a place for it. I think if it's I think there's a place in a very like limited fashion. I really wouldn't want to see it extend to like a bunch of different modes.
Hmm. And it wouldn't. I guess. Well, I mean, I definitely agree with that point. Is like we already do have a super cluttered system. It seems like.
Yep,
And I'm just
big
thinking,
time.
okay, like, what if there was an area restricted one where you still play as an Iron Man or an Ultimate Iron Man, so you would still just have the one symbol, but there's just infrastructure in the game that allows you to just bypass things and spawn. Let's say you wanted to play Karamja only, like you would just have, just that is where you can be and whatever, and then there would be like little limitations lifted, but like you said, I don't know, like so much of this would take so much dev time and like bug patching later in the future that
Yeah,
it's like
I
probably not
just
even worth.
oh it like it
Yeah.
just feels exhausting to even like think about. Like, dude, our high scores are dying already. Like,
Yeah,
the
it's
high
not
scores
great.
page is hanging on by a thread. I don't like the idea of that. I think the game is in such an amazing spot right now where there's so much creativity at your discretion if you choose to impose it on yourself. And
Mhm.
I think that's a completely fine way to do it. I don't think everything needs to be official or like it's we have we have our bread and butter with Iron Man modes, and what you choose to put on top of that little sandwich is up to you. And I
Yeah.
don't think Jagex needs to be putting on the ham, cheese, lettuce, tomato for you. Like
Yeah,
you choose to do that.
that's a good point. Who have been your biggest who have been your biggest inspirations and support within the OSRS content creation community? Oh, also, I
Hmm.
got a duplicate fishing pet.
No way, right now?
Yeah.
Let's go. That's so funny. Okay. Um, Biggest inspiration. So I think the people I looked up to the most when I was just starting out was definitely Bodhi. I could go on and on about my love for that man because I think he's like, I just think he's so real. Like I I love him, dude. Like I wanted to be like him when I was like 15.
Hmm.
Um and I think I don't know. I'd have to say he's my biggest inspiration. Just like all the good that he's done, the support that he shows for other people, the enthusiasm about his content that also may have even been like a showing like a showing sign for me. I feel like that really showed me that you can actually love what you do and show that to an audience, and it like works because like we touched on earlier, I was in this mindset that like you had to be negative to get viewers or something, and
Hmm.
um so I would say him. What was the other part of the question? I like
Just
forgot it.
biggest inspiration and support.
Oh, support. Oh, it's got to be Jimmy framed. ASAP, my thumbnail artist. Like, also Sofa, who is not a content creator, but I had to shout him out here just because like those are like my best friends in the whole world, and I I think they single-handedly have just been like the greatest support system of all time. Like we all just support each other in everything, and I have this thought like if if my channel like just disappeared, like at least I'd still have my friends. Like that's something I actually think about, and like I would have to say them. I love them.
That's so cool. That's awesome. Okay. Soup asks, what is your favorite and least favorite part of the editing process?
Interesting. Okay. That's cool that Stefan asked this. So my favorite part of the process, at least for I'll go to something like the Swampletics finale because that was like a crazy video to edit that had like pretty much every element of the storytelling process, and it was like a feature length video. So um I would say my favorite part, and this goes for like everything, when you're making something where you're trying to make people feel emotions, the most cinematic and satisfying thing you can do is connect music to a moment. Like this, you probably get what I mean with that.
A
Like,
100%. Yeah.
dude, that is like what I live for. And by far my favorite thing is like soundtracking moments that I've crafted to be emotional to the right soundtrack. That is like my favorite thing to do if I'm making something more cinematic, less so on like a progress video, which is like McTile is like more structured, sort of like a progress video. There's like little elements of story, I'd say, but it's nothing compared to what Swampletics was, I feel like, from the
Hmm.
story department. So I'd have to say like that is my favorite thing to do of all time. And as for like the actual processes of editing, when we're talking about like pre-production, post-production, etc., um, I think of myself first and foremost as a writer. So if I'm making something bigger like the finale or like the movie, I definitely enjoy the writing process the most. Like, how am I going to explain different things? Like to cause investment from the viewer, different sections, or like talking about the overcoming the odds of something, or like crossing some insurmountable obstacle and framing it in such a way for the viewer, like with writing, that it's like causes some kind of emotional reaction. That's also like my favorite thing to do. Basically anything that has to deal with like emotional investment of the video.
Yeah, that just sounds fun, especially when you've like started to master it a little bit more and have so much practice.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely wasn't something I was always good at. It's something that I just learned over time, and I think when I touched on before in the podcast, when I was like, I feel like I can empathize with the viewer and like feel what they're feeling.
Hmm.
I used that. I used that as a gauge for any emotional moment. Like when I was editing the Swampletics finale, if I did not cry in like a certain moment that I wanted people to like be invested in, it wasn't good enough. And I literally like replayed the like getting that final like getting the Verzik kill finally. I replayed that moment with the music so many times, and I'm like, I just kept making myself cry over and over and over. I'm like, yeah, it's ready.
We
Like,
need more tears, more tears.
yeah, like that's my gauge pretty much.
That is so cool. And
Yeah.
it really does say something about your content. Like you clearly love it. The fact that you
Mhm.
can watch it yourself and, get an emotional response from your own content. That might sound a little weird, but at the same time it's like that's exactly I think how it should be. I mean, that's beautiful that you take that much time into it and like it shows. So
Yeah,
cool.
it's also because like I know what I had to do to get to this point, like all the things that I had to overcome to finish XYZ, all the things that went into this, and I also know that the viewer is probably thinking of that at the same moment when I'm kind of like directing them to think about that with some subtext and certain soundtracks. There's just so many different methods of getting the reaction that you want out of a specific moment, and myself knowing my journey better than anyone else, I can get very emotional just thinking about that. And like, for Swampletics, like that was 3 years of my life, and arguably, like that was my transition into like adolescence. From like I started the series when I was 18, I ended it when I was 21. So like the
Holy.
amount of personal growth that happened in those 3 years was like more than my entire life combined. So it was a crazy like, I know what has been happening over these last 3 years, and just seeing that like final moment, like if it doesn't bring me to tears, like it's clearly not good enough, because I know better than anyone this journey. So if I'm not crying, like they're not gonna cry.
Wow. That is crazy though. 3 years from 18 to 21. Like,
Yeah,
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 that's
yeah.
insane.
Oh boy, yeah, it's really funny, like thinking about I went to like RuneFest 2019, like when the series was like popping.
Hmm.
Um and that was like my breakout year as a creator. I went from like 50K to like 250,000 subscribers in
That is
like
so cool, dude.
half a
That is.
year. Yeah. Um and oh my god, I remember just like being up there on that stage, because I did like a content creator Q&A. It was like Bodhi, Foe, MMORPG, Torvesta, and me like on this stage. And I remember just being next to them. Like I was the like breakout star of that year, but I was very new on the scene pretty much
Mhm.
for like a lot of these people. And I'm just like sitting next to like all of these like legends
Giants.
and people that I
Yeah.
like, yeah, like the people that I looked up to. I'm like, how the hell did I get here? Like, I remember thinking that, like looking around before the Q&A started, and I like remember thinking that in my head, like, how did I get here?
That's got to be such a magical moment just to
Oh,
realize
totally.
like being next to your idols basically and just knowing like, oh, I'm one of you guys, like
Yeah,
I'm up here.
I'm up here now, and that is crazy too, because like I watched Bodhi when I was like 12, and
Hmm.
I and then I'm like sitting on a stage with him at 19. Like it was wild to me at the time. It's like it was just so surreal.
That is it is a good feeling. I can kind of relate to it. I mean, just right now having this conversation with you is just I mean, this has made my morning completely. I've been watching your
Oh
videos.
yeah,
I've been watching your
hell yeah,
videos for
dude.
years, and so I don't know, just having the opportunity to just get to talk to somebody. I mean, I've talked to Bodhi as well, and just that was really special for me too, because yeah, Bodhi's always been like the king on Twitch and
Yeah.
on YouTube as well. But like just feeling connected to you guys as well, having like a one-on-one conversation has been like an amazing journey for myself, and like so I can feel that of just like wow, I would have never expected to talk to Bodhi one on one and then publish it like
Yeah.
ever. And then with you, it's just I don't know, it's really cool. So
That's so awesome, dude. That was also like that was the first podcast of yours I watched, was the episode with Bodhi. That's like what exposed me to you. And like to me, he's still the GOAT. Like I don't think, like in my eyes, nothing will ever change that. And yeah, like I loved that talk you had with him. It was so good. I like
appreciate
urge
it.
everyone watching this to go watch that one after this, because it's so good.
Yeah, that was when Bodhi was also struggling with, his whole
Yeah.
illness and stuff, and so like
Horrible,
it was
man.
like
Yeah.
emotional as well as just, I don't know. It was nice though. Yeah, it was long too. So if you like long casts, go check it out. Oh, also, least favorite part of the editing process.
Least favorite part.
Rendering. No, I don't know.
I would say, I think what we kind of touched on earlier is like, I think my least favorite part is when I have these moments of like, how do I explain this to both an experienced player and like a new player? Like that's when I have to like figure that out. Because that's not like really, like that doesn't take any like. There obviously is creative energy that goes into that, but it's like I'd rather be doing something else than like figuring that out.
Yeah.
Like how to phrase something, or like needing to like not abbreviate, like, like Bofa, like, Boa Ferdinand, like no one's gonna know that in my, like, okay, half my audience isn't gonna know what the hell that is.
Yeah.
So I have to, figuring out ways to do that. That's probably my least favorite thing to do, but it's like the only way for me to really make videos currently.
Yep. Yeah, that's probably just got to be a lot of brain power that you'd rather spend somewhere else.
Absolutely. I'd rather be spending it somewhere else, but that's okay. It's necessary to grow for me right now, and I'm confident that I can hit 1 million subscribers with RuneScape. I think it would be so sick to do that. So that's like I will do that to get to that goal no matter what. Like I will go through that however many times.
All right, guys, down in the description. I know all of you are already subbed to Settle, but if you're not, go click on his channel. Go give him a little bit.
Yeah, if you watched this far,
Okay,
Surely.
here's 3 topics, and they're kind of personal. So let's go into it. Broken Ida asks, "Are you single? Your favorite streamer and your favorite alcohol?"
Interesting selection of questions. Currently single, yes. What was the second? Favorite
streamer.
Favorite streamer. People are gonna think I have something for Bodhi, but I have to say Bodhi. Like, I'm sorry, but like
he's just the front page of like Twitch streaming. Like you click on his stream, you know what's going on in the community. You're having a good time.
Yeah.
So many people are in there, so it just feels like a reunion. So
yeah, I'd have to go with Bodhi. Favorite alcohol. I don't drink that often. I really don't. My favorite thing to get if I'm like at a bar, I will get green tea shots. Because they are just like the easiest thing possible to drink.
Green tea shots, huh?
Yeah. So it's like, I'm gonna like screw this up. It's like schnapps, like half and half whiskey. I don't know what else is in it, but it's like it just tastes like Arnold Palmer, but it's like a shot of whiskey. I don't know. It's really great.
Okay. Yeah, I don't drink. I mean, I've drank it in the past. It just is not for me. I swear, I can't understand how people drink. It's so repulsive in my mouth. Dude.
Yeah.
Like, I guess it is just all acquired.
Oh, totally, dude. Like I remember when I was like 18 and drinking for the first time. I was like pretending at the time, like, oh yeah, this IPA is pretty good, but it's like, oh my god, I just hated everything about drinking.
Yeah.
I just could not find anything that actually appealed to me, like with beer or anything like that. No, I still don't like it. I will only do it to, feel a certain way when like in a social setting.
Yeah.
I don't drink alone or anything like that. I just only when I'm like out and about with
Yeah.
people. That's it.
That's fair. Okay. I guess let's ask this. I'm going to kind of expand on this question, but here's a topic from Stirs. He's asking, take us through his day to day while doing these series, how he stays motivated, what he does outside of playing to avoid burnout. So I guess my expansion on this is just like more recently, especially with your other lifestyle changes. What does your average day look like when working on these series?
So my average day. Okay. Well, so nowadays I like used to be able to play and edit at the same time, and now I can really only do that if I'm doing something incredibly AFK, like if it's sand crabs or something. But usually I will close RuneScape to only have Adobe Premiere open, and I would like focus on editing. And I will have so with this schedule, basically, I have dedicated times to edit videos, and I have dedicated times to play RuneScape. Where usually, so right now I'm waking up at 8 a.m. every single day. Sometimes a little later on the weekends if I want to, but I will spend the first hour of the day. I have just completely allocated it to like, all right, just like wake up, get some sunlight, get some movement, eat breakfast. Like if I finish all that at like 8:40, that's completely fine. I don't start until 9. Like I will not sit down at the computer until I've like I don't want to start my day looking at screens.
Yeah.
And I still do because like I mean I'm addicted to like my phone and
It's
shit. Like
habit. Yeah.
it's like everyone really, but I really try not to. I try not to, and at the very least, I want to go outside before I look at a screen. I'm like addicted to Andrew Huberman podcasts.
Yes.
Yeah, so like when he like really hammers it into your brain to like go outside and like get some sunlight because it's so good for setting up your sleep pattern.
Yep. Yep.
So
100%.
that's what I do. I go outside. I like at least walk around for like a minimum of 5 minutes. Because even if there's cloud cover, like all you sunlight penetrates cloud cover. Ultimately, you still get the same effects. And that's what I do to start my day. And then after that, I will work for like 3 hours. I have a break at noon, which I usually go to the gym at noon. And I'm actually only going 3 days a week right now, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I'm doing like full body workouts. And then when I come
that is
home,
great, by the way. Yeah.
yeah,
Don't push yourself to go 6 days a week when you're like starting out.
yeah, no, I'm completely enjoying this to where it's like not too much. I'm motivated to go every single time it's time to go because I am only doing it 3 days a week and I'm going for full body, and it's nice right now. If I feel like I can do more, I'll tack it on. Like right now, I don't want to overwhelm myself and like scare myself away from committing because
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
ultimately what I need to do. Is I'm just trying to build habit right now. That's all that matters to me. And you just dedicate like 2 hours pretty much to gym and then eating afterward. And I'll usually just make like food and like a protein shake. And after that, I just quote unquote work until 7. So I will either play RuneScape or if I like have a video to edit, like that's usually when I'm like editing. And it's kind of like a loose system because from like 2 to 7, like it's impossible to focus 5 hours straight.
Yeah.
You're supposed to do like 90-minute work intervals, I believe was like what I heard. But that's just like I try to set a goal of some sort, whether it be like, okay, finish the script for this ad, finish this ad brief draft, and just send that over, and then do as much as you can, like to make an intro of a video. Like I will try to set some kind of attainable goal for those hours, and then even if I'm not working the whole time, as long as I finish those goals in those 5 hours, that's all that matters to me.
That's a great way to go about it. Just
Yep,
having like the
and,
actual goals. Yeah.
Yeah, and after 7, it's supposed to be like, all right, your work day is done, quote unquote, and you can do whatever you want. Although I usually just end up logging back into RuneScape. But it depends. Sometimes I'll play like Valorant or something, or something that's not RuneScape, just to like kind of take my mind off it. But
That's cool. Okay. Let's see. I'm like, is there anything that you've kind of seen? I don't know if you have the thread pulled up, but if there's anything that has kind of caught your attention that you'd like to talk about.
let me pull it up real quick.
Well, here we've got one topic right here. If you want to look as well while
go
you
for it.
answer this one. So, what is something? This is coming from Akbar. What is something you know now that you wish you knew back when you started creating content on YouTube? Very generic, but it's valid.
It's a good question. Yeah. It's valid. So, wow, there's actually so many like different answers I could give to this, because obviously like the amount of growth I've had over 7 years is insane. But let me just pick like 2 or something. So first of all, well, we've already talked about it. Like title thumbnail, obviously, is something I wish I like put way more time into, and I kind of picked that up like on year 2, like in 2018. I started to pay way more attention to that, but it took me like 2 years, honestly, to start caring a lot more about that. And another thing, this is what I like cringe at myself so bad for in my super early videos, like my first videos ever uploaded on the platform.
What is it?
Stop apologizing for things that don't need to be apologized for. Like I hate hearing myself do that, dude.
I do that still. It was way worse, but yeah. Oh my.
Yeah. I have not done that for 3 years now. I have not apologized for something stupid.
Good
because,
for you.
like, dude, you could go back into those videos and like every video would be like, hey guys, like, I'm sorry that it's been 4 days since I've uploaded. I'm gonna be working on that. I've got this like crazy schedule going on at school. Like, no one cares, bro. Just like they clicked on the video to watch the video. Like, you're not as important to these people as you think, because they have like 30 other content creators to watch. They have their own lives going on. You don't need to make excuses for yourself, because they just like, you've also got to consider that so many other creators are doing the same thing, where they're apologizing for things that don't need apologies for, and it just kind of gets exhausting. It like fatigues the viewer, in my opinion. When you apologize for, obviously, like if you did something wrong, like you apologize, but like if you're apologizing for like being late, or like, I don't know, like, hey guys, like, I was a day late uploading this video because I got stuck in a traffic jam, and then like, I like, they don't need that. They really don't need that explanation. And I would do that all the time, where like, yeah, like I've got finals going on, and like I would ramble for like 40 seconds at the start of a video just to explain like where I've been. Like, no one cares. Please stop.
That is so funny. That is definitely something I need to improve at. I definitely like notice it, because like you say, it's almost like when you're first starting out at content creation, I think for some people, and it happened to me, and it sounds like it happened to you, it's kind of like this idea that people are almost just like waiting for your video to upload, or just something like that.
It's never the case. It's never the case.
People have their own lives. Like, they are not thinking about it at all. And then they would just want to watch a video. They don't care. They haven't been just refreshing, waiting for you to publish. Yeah, that's something I needed to just realize. Oh, people actually have their own lives and don't just wait for videos.
Exactly. And it'll become part of your reputation that you're that guy that like is always making excuses for why you're not doing something, or why you weren't on time, or like, meanwhile, if you just didn't give explanations, like no one would even think about that. Like no one would even think that you were late, or that you were, like you haven't uploaded in a while. No one thinks about that except you, because you know what you've been doing, like what's been going on, and like when you can't leave yourself. Like, you're stuck with yourself. No one has like your insight into your own life, and you don't need to explain stuff like that. So I made it. I actually literally uploaded a video in 2019 called 43 Days. It was I had been temple trekking for 43 days straight, and in that video, it was actually a ramble on this topic in particular. It's like, I need to stop apologizing. Like I uploaded that video to my main channel, and I was like, I need to stop apologizing. Like, you guys know what's going on. Like, these grinds are gonna happen, and I don't like owe you guys any explanation as to why things are taking so long. So from now on, I'm just gonna upload, and when you see it, like, you can watch it, and I will no longer be apologizing for anything that has to do with like, you know, taking too long to make a video, because I'm obviously working on it. Like, so, you know.
That is a great realization to have. And I bet you got no slack from anybody from it. I bet everybody was
None.
like, great, perfect. Like,
My life has been way better since I have not apologized for stupid things. Yes.
that's good. That is fantastic advice. I was expecting just something like, oh, just, work on, I don't know. I don't even know what I was going to say, but
I know what you're talking about.
That is fantastic advice. And it's actually applicable because I feel like so many creators do that. So
totally. Especially if you're like a small creator. Oh God, please. Because like the start of your video, when you are a small creator, that is like crucial time, man. That is your time to be hooking someone. Like, you are a brand new creator for this person and they're seeing your videos for the first time. Like, your beginning of the video should be like, I need this person to stay. And like, especially if they're new, like, they especially don't care about whatever excuse you had because they don't know you. They've never watched you. And now you're explaining yourself to someone who's never watched you, you know?
it's true. Oh my God. That is just so accurate.
Yep.
Okay. This is an interesting topic. So Boldy asks, despite playing the game since a young age, how long did it take you to fully grasp tick manipulation and late game PVM mechanics?
That is a good question.
Yeah.
I really like that question, actually. So like I said, I didn't do any like PVM until 2015, 2016, basically, because my UIM wasn't in a stage to do PVM for at least like a year. And I like had no idea what was going on. I did like Dagonoth Kings as my first like PVM on my ultimate in 2016, and I was like, I freaked out over getting a Berserker ring because that was my first like PVM drop. And I didn't really care about high level PVM until I'd say probably like during my maxing grind. Like, because I think when I was maxing, I wanted to do everything as fast as possible. I did every tick efficient method possible to max. Like, I did 3 tick 4 granite. I did 2 tick wood cutting at the time. 1.5 wasn't a thing. I did literally every like tick manipulation method to get all my skills to 99. And that is like what really taught me the tick system. Like, after you like 3 tick fish or you do 3 tick 4 granite for like hundreds of hours, you just feel what a tick is. Like, you will just understand what that is. And after that, like, after I did all the skilling taught me how to PVM because I'm just reapplying like the core mechanics to everything else. So I like instantly knew what I was doing. Like, I walked into like the Sarah room for the first time and I like learned how to flick Sarah like within my first trip. I just like felt the timings. It was all intuition rather than actually learning anything. And I think it really took me, however long I like spent doing tick manipulation, skilling, like whenever I started and whenever I finished my maxing grind, that's like when I got extremely good at knowing the core fundamentals of the game. And then I just transferred them over to PVM. Like, the Inferno was insanely easy for me. I did that in 12 tries with like Black D'hide and crossbow and mystics. So it just like transferred to every aspect of the game for me.
Yeah, that just inevitably happens. It's so impossible to teach a new player anything about like the tick system without just, like you said, hundreds of hours of practice.
Yeah. It's just intuition ultimately. After you play, like my 8sat, my thumbnail artist, was always like so baffled at like how I could just like feel out ticks, because it really is. I think all of the best PVMers in the game just feel it all. Like, they're not counting or anything. Like, they feel every timing, and when it's all like muscle memory to mental connection. They just know. They just know when to do everything.
Well, the craziest stuff is when you see like Inferno speedrunners that are just, it's like there are 4 monsters attacking you right now with
Yeah.
blobs that are attacking every 6 ticks. I'm just like, dude, what is going on? But yeah, if you've spent 100, 200, 300 hours in there, like you're just going to become insane. And that would
Yeah.
go with anything. I mean, you will just become insane at those things, and it all becomes intuition, like you said.
Yeah, and your brain is also like, brains love patterns. Like, this is
Yeah.
ultimately a pattern game. Like, and recognizing multiple patterns at the same time is absolutely something your brain is capable of. And I feel anyone, if they spent enough time, could become a very good PVMer. But I do think that a lot of people, in fact, like 90% of people, are very intimidated by the tick system and mastering it, and they don't decide to do that. And they just stay like intimidated by the system for so long. But it really is like anyone can do it in my mind. You just have to spend the time to like feel it out. And eventually your brain recognizes that pattern. Your brain knows exactly what 0.6 seconds feels like. And
Yep.
you can just do anything at that point.
You're totally right with the intimidation factors as well. I mean, that's the big reason why so many people, even to this day, that could go into the Inferno and beat it, just don't step in there because it's just so incredibly intimidating. And
Yeah.
that leads to just this feeling in your mind. And this again, like not everyone needs to play as a PVM. You can play this game however you want or not play it. You know? But
Yeah.
for those that are really looking to just improve, I mean, you just got to go in and practice up. You're going to fail a bunch, but that literally is how you get good at anything, by failing a bunch.
Yeah.
You just have to.
And people are just kind of like they've got that beginner's paralysis, basically, where they don't know where to start. But really it's just like going into it. And one of my favorite things that Bodhi says is like, if this is the only game you play, why would you not want to be good at it? Like, don't be bad at the only game you play. That is I love like when he first said that like really stuck with me. Like, why would you not want to be good? If you love this game and you've been playing it for so long, why not like push your limits, see how good you can get at it? Because like ultimately there is this talk about like, you know, don't be efficient about everything, it's like boring. But if you really go out of your way to like master the game, and obviously that probably has to be something that you enjoy doing. I am always like, I've always been very ambitious and I always want to get really good at what I do. It is so fun. Like, it really is so fun to do that.
Yep. It's a great feeling as well, knowing that you can do most content in the game, or if not all the content in the game. Just understanding that, okay, nothing's really intimidating me anymore. I can just go try things. I'll still fail a bunch if it's something new, but it's like the confidence of just feeling like you can do things in the game where you don't just have like this mental block, like I will never go there, it's too scary. So,
Dude, that's the Inferno confidence right there. If
100%.
anyone gets an Infernal cape, oh my god, your confidence, like you said, you will feel like you can do anything else in the game. Like, it is the biggest confidence builder, and people go into the Inferno and come out of it like a way better player. Like,
oh yeah.
so much better.
Oh yeah, and just the fact that they have that cape on their back now is just another symbol of like, I can do whatever I want. Like I can go kill anything, you know?
Absolutely. I would urge anyone who actually wants to be better at the game to make that their goal, because you will just feel so much better at the game.
Yep. It's going to be tough too, but like just understand everything takes time. So it's just what it is. Okay, here's an interesting RuneScape topic as well, coming from Chrissy Yums. She asks, if you could choose only one boss to kill in RuneScape for the rest of your life, which one would it be?
That is so tough. I don't know, actually.
Is it like bosses or raids too? Or is it just bosses?
Yeah, like I'm not sure if raids would really qualify, because that is like a selection of bosses. That's like the what's your favorite food? That's like the sushi of answers, I feel like. Because there's just like 900 different ways to eat sushi. So if I had to pick one boss, I don't know, like a comfort pick would be Zulrah, I guess, just because like I've killed so much Zulrah in this game, like 4,000 or something, and I don't know, it's like it's got a little bit of everything, I guess. It's got like, you know, some gear switching and like the different phases and rotations. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't really have like I wouldn't say I have a favorite like boss experience other than raids. Like I really enjoy raids. But yeah, like singular bosses, I'm actually not sure.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Now I'm thinking about it. I'm like looking at my little list of bosses on the high scores.
Yeah, I'm really curious what your answer would be actually.
I mean, I would probably say Sarachnis only because I've killed a lot of Sarachnis, but the reason I kill it is for clue scrolls. So it wasn't really ever about the fight.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm
I've
kind of like hesitant on
I
saying
think
it.
I've only killed Sarachnis on leagues, so I don't even know like that's like not really a complex fight at all, right?
It's not.
Yeah.
Okay, I will say. So, have you ever killed Venenatus with the crossbow, like the little safe spot thing?
No.
Have you seen it at least? Like when people
I've
just
seen it, yes. Yeah.
that I'm not gonna lie, there is something so incredibly satisfying about abusing a monster. Now, obviously, we don't have it anymore because Venenatus moved, but like there was something so incredibly just nice about learning a setup of something that does take time and practice to just get the setup down. And
Yeah.
then just being a pro at it and doing like 3 different clicks and you're just set up and the
Oh,
boss just
dude, yeah.
dies. Like,
Any
I don't,
Yeah,
it's nice. It's just beautiful. I love it. So.
totally. Any process like that can be optimized and it's just fluid is super satisfying for the brain.
Yep.
I completely agree.
Like if they were to make a new boss that was okay, the other issue with it is in the wilderness, which I hated, but if they could just make that exact sort of bug abused boss out in the middle
Yeah.
of like Gielinor and just make it so like it respawns in like 5 seconds too, so you're not just waiting there awkwardly for 30 seconds. Like that would be such an addicting boss. It would be easy as hell, but it would be fun. There's just something so satisfying about like a little setup and then just waiting. I don't know.
Yeah, I do think there's like there's definitely some balance with it because a lot of people would argue that is like the worst possible way to make a boss. Which you can't like
It's true.
disagree necessarily.
No, I
Like
can't.
it's not meant to be. Like bosses shouldn't be AFK. So I get that, but I also see like your side of it where it is a really like just satisfying thing to set up. But
Yeah.
I do think the game should continue in the direction that the wilderness bosses took recently.
You're right. You're right. And of course, if they did come out with a boss like that wasn't in the wilderness, it could not drop the same things. It would have to just,
No,
it would just have to be
absolutely
like a little fun little I don't even know, but
not. Yeah.
did you ever grind wyverns, by the way?
I did. I did like 7,000 kills for
Okay,
my
so-
visage.
Yeah, okay, so I did like 15,000 back in like 2015 or something.
Sheesh, yeah.
That's all I did. I mean, at college in class, I'd just be AFKing wyverns.
Yep.
And there was some that I don't know if you enjoyed it. I loved that place because it was just so AFK, camped there forever, and you're just building up loot. There's something super addicting about that. Did you ever feel that way?
I know exactly what you mean because I just like looking at all the supplies in your inventory, like that's what made that so satisfying. And obviously like I wanted the DFS. That's like ultimately why I was there. Even though it's like kind of dead content these days. But back then, like yeah, I don't remember what year I hunted for that, but I'm pretty sure it was December of 2016. And like back then, the DFS was still like such a prominent, prestigious item.
Yeah.
Everyone wanted that thing. So I was like so happy to get that. And but yeah, just looking at your supplies tick up, and it was super chill. It took me like 2 months or something.
I guess it's different if you're like exclusively hunting the DFS, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Whale asks thoughts on the early days of UIM as opposed to now. Are we too far gone? Is the game too easy now? And then he also asks, do you want to maybe kiss a little bit? Lol.
Okay.
I'm
I'll
sorry
answer
to-
in order.
I'm sorry to even ask that last one.
You're
What about
good,
the
you're
first
good.
three?
I'll answer them in order. Okay, so are we too far gone? Yeah, it's over. No, I'm kidding. But Damn, but like I'm just thinking about like how crazy different the mode is these days because like I said, the original concept that got me into Ultimate, um, I don't know if I would have been as inspired to get into it these days. Because it's really not like even close to as hardcore as it used to be. Like there really is like we are kind of like babied on Ultimate these days. But I still think overall that it is probably the toughest game mode still overall.
Yeah.
Um just from like efficiency standpoints and like planning standpoints, no mode makes you think in the way Ultimate does. So I still think there's charm to it. And I still think that I actually had someone tweet at me like I want to say like a couple months ago to ask me like if I'm a new player, what if I just went to Ultimate straight away? And I'm like, if you like challenges, you're gonna have a blast. Like it doesn't matter that the game mode has been quote unquote diluted. Um, like for people trying to get into the mode, because I still think that they will have an absolute blast. And ultimately, that's like what it's all about. Because if we're talking like people who have been playing the mode for a long time, like, yeah, you might feel a little like quote unquote devalued with like some of the different like storage systems that we have now and all this stuff. But ultimately, what else are you gonna play if you're someone who wants a challenge? Like for me, hardcore just doesn't fit because oh my god, like I can't play the game like that, man, because
Yep.
um just being at the mercy of internet and stuff like and having to remake like 13 hardcores, no, please. I can't do that with my life. So I think Ultimate still holds like the crown for if you're looking for the most challenging mode in RuneScape, this is what you pick. If you enjoy challenges, that is what you pick. So I don't think it's far gone until it loses that charm. If it ever loses that status of like this is the hardest like mode you can play,
Yeah.
I'd say at that point it's too far gone.
Yeah, that's probably what I would say as well. Just it still has that charm. I've started a UIM. I chopped like 5 trees, then I was like, I can't do this. I don't know what's happening.
Nice. Hey, well, if you know it's not for you, then like absolutely don't force yourself because well, why are you playing video games if you're forcing yourself to do anything?
Exactly. Do you feel this is coming from Furry Wall? Do you feel that gimmick accounts helped RuneScape as a whole within the game and video making aspect?
Oh, absolutely. I feel like there's absolutely no question about that. They definitely have. Um because I feel like there was something missing for a while to channel like creative energy because if you think about it, right? There was obviously I'm just going to use Swampletics as an example. There was nothing really in the game that I could have made otherwise that would have been like, is that goal possible? And what are the obstacles that are going to be faced? I feel like every series before gimmicky accounts could have been figured out. Like in the sense that I could tell you exactly how this is going to happen, but I think gimmick accounts introduced this idea of like unknown restrictions creating suspense and mystery, and that has been like that is such a crucial part of any kind of media for just making more entertaining content.
Yep.
So I'd have to say yes, like they were I think viewership in the RuneScape category maybe even doubled with like gimmick accounts.
I would not be surprised. I mean, seriously, that is when. What was it before these gimmick accounts? It was just kind of like PKing montages and progress series.
Yeah, PKing was king. But before Snowflakes, PKing was absolutely number one. And now gimmick accounts are number one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sheesh. All right. Well, settled. I gotta say, I've had an absolute pleasure talking with you today. There is one final question I want to ask, which is, where do you see yourself in 5 years from now, or where would you like to be?
I would say I hope I'm doing the exact same thing. I hope
Oh, yeah.
I'm still making the same videos, but I hope I have continued to breach the ceiling of what I think is possible. That's just kind of been my aspiration for forever, is to constantly like introduce things that hopefully people had no idea that they wanted to watch. Like I just want to continue like expanding that reputation and just entertaining people. I hope I'm still entertaining people in 5 years. That's pretty much it. I would say that my only like major like number goal is 1 million subscribers right now. That's pretty much like, past that, if I reach that, I could, like once I reach that, I'm obviously still gonna want to keep going, but like, that is like that is a career accomplishment.
Yeah.
If
You
it's
could die
managed.
happy.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, you die happy.
That's well, who knows? I mean, 5 years. That's some time. I mean, another what? 370,000 subs.
Yeah, I
What do you-
mean, so,
that's just like that is so hard to like even estimate like how long that takes, because you could just have a series just pop off again, like.
yeah, exactly. Which is exactly what happened to me. Like I gained like I think only like 40,000 subscribers from 2020 to 2021. And then I gained 300,000 like last year, it's
Holy shit.
the variance is insane. And Social Blade is predicting that it'll happen in like what 2 years. And that's
Okay.
like if I just keep going at this pace basically. But
Yeah.
I set the goal for this year, like I wanted it to happen this year. That is a fucking psychotic goal. Okay, it's like I set that for myself just to like inspire myself.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't expect to hit that. I would have to average like 1,200 subscribers a day.
Jesus. Yeah.
I don't know. If I think of some insane series and I strike gold again and it comes out in the summer or something, maybe.
It could happen.
Who knows, right?
Well, regardless, I'm really excited for the future of your content, and keep doing what you're doing. I mean, you've seriously given just hundreds of hours of entertainment to the old school community and beyond. I mean, people that don't even play the game anymore are still watching your content. So, I appreciate your time this morning. I absolutely had a blast. And yeah, if there's anything else, I mean, I'll let you kind of say your final thoughts as well before we wrap it up.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me, man. Like I said, I've been wanting to just like do exactly this. So I'm so glad I got to just talk to someone and like spill my brain out on the table. And it was really enjoyable. I had a fantastic time while fishing. So yeah,
Well,
awesome, dude.
Thank you very much. Okay, guys, down in the description, go click on Settled's socials, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. Is there anything else you want linked? There's probably some other things. is that?
OnlyFans, Facebook, MySpace.
Facebook.
That's like pretty much it. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Guys, thank you very much for listening, and we will catch you in the next one. We will be having Scotizo, aka Max. She is a brand new partnered streamer on Twitch, so we'll be talking to her next week. Anyway, guys, thank you very much, and have a great rest of your day. Peace.
Peace.